Rise of the family begins with daily intelligence. Hello again, dear adventurers of the multiverse. Thanks for joining us once more on this epic journey. Remember, this story is pure science fiction from our wild imagination. So don't go trying to summon dragons in your backyard. The rights of this amazing novel belong entirely to its original author. We are only the narrators. Do you want more adventures? Show some love to our YouTube channel with a subscription and a like. And if you want exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting for you with open arms. Chapter 1, Patriarch Intelligence System. Spies from Nanyang County reported that the Fu family's territory, Luofang Mountain, was breached. It is said that a guest elder of the Fu family let the southern barbarians in. 32 Kigan clan members of the Fu family were wiped out in order to cover the escape of 4 people, including the future son-in-law. The Fu family is finished. Miss, you should cancel this marriage with a future son-in-law. Without the Fu family, Fu Changsheng is just a stray dog of the second level of Kigan. Did the second young master of the Shangguan family send you an invitation not long ago? I think it's a good opportunity. The Shangguan family is a 9th-rank family canonized by the court. Although the second young master is not a legitimate son, he is also a child of a noble family within rank. He is many times better than the future son-in-law, who is still wet behind the ears. Miss, if you are embarrassed to come forward, I will go to Fu Changsheng in person and ask him to take the initiative to propose to cancel the engagement. What do you think, Mammy? You talk too much today. Sitting at her dressing table, Liu Mizhen had removed all the red hairpins from her hair, wearing only a single white flower. Even so, her allure was hard to conceal. Mammy, please go to King Song Hall and ask the clan leader to come to Lianfang Garden. In the reception room, Fu Changsheng, a refugee from Nanyang County, paced anxiously. He had approached the Liu family, hoping to ask them to send troops to help him in their ancestors' honor. But 2 hours had passed. He was left there, completely stranded, not even offered a sip of hot tea, let alone the Liu clan leader's presence. Could it be that the southern barbarians have marched north and reached Anyang County? The 2 counties lay just across the Kilian Mountains and the Songling River. Fu Changsheng couldn't sit still. The longer they waited, the more dangerous it would be for his grandfather and his family. We can't wait any longer. He planned to ask Mizhen to deliver the message. He rose from his seat and reached the door, where he ran into Mammy Liu. He was delighted to learn that it was Mizhen who was looking for him. They seemed to be on the same page. Mizhen was fostered in the Fu family for a few years as a child. Although Mizhen was born into the Liu family's illegitimate lineage, she was already a first-rank lower-grade alchemist at a young age, and she was considered influential in the Liu family. With her presence, the Liu clan leader was more likely to send troops. Fu Changsheng hurried all the way. When he arrived at the Lanfang Garden reception room, he saw the conspicuous white flower on Mizhen's temple. He was shocked. When he heard that none of the 32 key training elders who stayed in the mountains had survived, his head buzzed, he felt dizzy, and his legs went weak. This morning, the words that the third grandfather had warned them during the lecture in the Wei lecture hall were still ringing in his ears. How could it be? Brother Changsheng, the dead cannot be resurrected, you must mourn and accept the change. Although the elders of the Fu family are gone, the foundation of your Fu family is still there. As long as we protect that first-rank spiritual vein and the 50 acres of spiritual farmland on the mountain, there is hope for a comeback. Liu Mizhen held Fu Changsheng's hand. Her voice was gentle yet firm. Brother Changsheng, now is not the time to grieve. Since you are descended from the Patriarch's direct lineage, according to clan rules, you are now the head of the Fu clan. We must protect the legacy our ancestors have built through years of hard work. Fu Changsheng suddenly woke up. Anyang County contained 5 major key cultivating clans, including his own. Not only had their mountain-protecting formation been destroyed, but only 1 in 10 cultivators remained. For the other 4 clans, the Fu family was a lucrative opportunity. If they weren't careful, they could be completely swallowed up by the others. Fu Changsheng gratefully shook Liu Mizhen's hand. Mizhen, please help persuade Uncle Liu to send a formation master to accompany me back to Nanyang. Once the mountain-protecting formation is repaired, and with this first-level formation, our Fu family has a chance to turn things around. Before he finished speaking, footsteps echoed outside the door. It was clan leader Liu. He patted Fu Changsheng's shoulder in comfort, then sat down at the head of the group. He glanced at Fu Changsheng with a complicated expression, sighed, and said, Changsheng, We've just discussed your Fu family's affairs at our elders' meeting, and we've come up with a plan. After a pause, clan leader Liu looked at Fu Changsheng intently. To protect your Fu family's land, relying solely on a first-tier magic array is clearly not enough. We also need to deploy a late-stage key training cultivator capable of manipulating it to guard it. We, the Liu family, are happy to oblige, but there's one condition, that is, you must hand over 60% of the output from your Fu family's spiritual fields to us, the Liu family. The clan's sole source of income was those 50 acres of spiritual fields, and they had to pay 30% annually to the Shangguan family. The Liu family, however, simply demanded 60%, meaning they would only be left with 10%. They could earn more by renting spiritual fields from outside. The Liu family was essentially rejecting him. Fu Changsheng's chest heaved with rage. 20 years ago, the Liu family's mountain had also been besieged by the southern barbarians, and at the time, the Fu family elders had led their forces to support them without hesitation. Now that the Fu family was in trouble, the Liu family chose to stand by and watch. Such ungrateful and heartless behavior, he would see which family would dare to ally with them in the future. Fu Changsheng took a deep breath, stood up, and said, "Chief Liu, I appreciate your kindness. Today, I'll pretend I wasn't here." Fu Changsheng immediately left. He hurried out of the meeting room but was stopped by Madame Liu. Madame Liu handed Fu Changsheng a white box with a plum pattern on it. "This is what the young lady asked me to give you." Fu Changsheng took the box, opened it, and saw neatly arranged inside 152 low-grade spirit stones, a first-level speed talisman, and a note. "Brother Changsheng, you are not fighting alone. If you need anything, please let me know." He saw the delicate handwriting on the note. Fu Changsheng's heart, previously filled with grief and indignation, suddenly felt warmed. The spirit stones, both in whole and small amounts, indicated that this was all Meizhen's savings. For him, who already had nothing, this sum of spirit stones was a lifeline. After leaving the Liu family compound, he immediately produced a communication jade talisman, cast a spell into it, and quickly said, "Brother, the Liu family is unreliable. You and your third brother and fourth sister remain where you are. I will ask the Shangguan family to send troops for support. If I don't send you another message after 3 days, send another person to Anyang County." The Shangguan family was a noble family appointed by the imperial court. They governed the key cultivating families within their fiefdoms. According to the laws of the Great Zhou, as long as they pay tribute on time each year, they were obliged to lend a helping hand in times of crisis for the family's survival. Of course, the Fu family would also pay a corresponding reward afterwards. He had initially refrained from seeking the Shangguan family because the journey was too long. He was focused on rescuing his grandfather and his family as soon as possible. Furthermore, he assumed the Liu family would help out of gratitude for their ancestors' kindness. He never expected them to be so ungrateful. 30 years in the east, 30 years in the west. The Fu family wasn't completely wiped out, they would eventually rise again. One day, he would make Liu Qingyan and the Liu family regret their actions today. Fu Changsheng had already reached the dock while he was thinking. At that moment, a mechanical voice suddenly rang out in his mind. "Ding, the family head's intelligence system has been activated." Chapter 2, Seizing the Opportunity. Fu Changsheng felt a flash before his eyes, and then a panel appeared in his mind. The first one prominently read, Patriarch Intelligence System V0, it had 12 raised buttons. The first 3 were inscribed with words, Daily Intelligence, Random Draw, and Family Contribution Points. The next 9 were blank. Of the 3, only the Daily Intelligence button lit up. "This is," Fu Changsheng's eyes lit up. Having awakened the Blue Star Wisdom, he was extremely familiar with this device. He immediately focused his attention on the Daily Intelligence panel. Buzz! The panel vibrated. A large amount of yellow light surged. Then, lines of text appeared. 1. Your clan's land, Luofang Mountain, has been completely plundered by the southern barbarians and wandering cultivators. Even the half-ripened red marrow rice has been harvested to the last drop. 2. The Li family, the closest to your Fu family, intends to annex your family's land and exterminate you 4 siblings. Li Changte is lying in ambush in a sycamore tree in the Qilian Mountains, a path you must pass through. If you pass through this place in an hour, you will be killed by his earth-piercing technique. As Li Changte was about to bury the body in the back mountain, he discovered Shangguan Hongyu, seriously injured and unconscious. He rescued Shangguan Hongyu and brought her back home. This led to a friendly relationship between the Li and Shangguan families, and they rose to prominence, becoming a 9th-rank family 10 years later. Note, from now on, daily intelligence will require family contribution points to redeem. Your current contribution points are 0. When your contribution points reach 50, you can choose a random draw. Looking at the information on the panel, Fu Changsheng was stunned. If the information on this panel was true, it would undoubtedly be a blessing from heaven for him. However, when his eyes locked on the second piece of intelligence, he calmed down considerably. The Li and Fu families lived next door to each other and had constant friction, making them a family feud. Therefore, he expected the Li family to want to annex the Fu family. The Li family had anticipated that he would inevitably seek help from the Shangguan family, and the Qilian Mountains were a necessary route. What should we do? If he remembered correctly, Li Shangte was at the mid-stage key training stage, no doubt more than enough to deal with a young cultivator like him at the second stage. Fu Changsheng's eyes lit up as he caught sight of the second part of the second piece of information. Shangguan Hongyu's father was one of the Shangguan family's foundation-building elders. If he could rescue Shangguan Hongyu first, not only would he be able to avoid the murderous intent, but he could also seize the opportunity to have the Shangguan family send rescuers and defend the family's Luifang mountain, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I hope the information provided by the panel is true. Fu Changsheng boarded the ferry. After landing on the Songling River, he flashed directly into the Qilian Mountains. The Qilian Mountains were covered in lush qinkang trees, their leaves quickly dissolving his presence. He deliberately avoided the sycamore forest halfway up the mountain. Crouching, he reached a back hill, tapping the ground with his toes and nimbly climbing a qinkang tree so thick it was 4 men could hug. He looked around. Not even Shangguan Hongyu, not even a single wild animal in the mountains, was visible. Could it be that the information on the dashboard is false, but the first piece of information was true? Could it be that Shangguan Hongyu hasn't appeared yet? The information indicated Shangguan Hongyu, whom Li Changte had discovered while burying the body after he was murdered. To avoid this delay, he had asked the ferryman to speed up, and he had taken a shorter route to the back mountain. It had only been half an hour since he set out. Wait a little longer. If Shangguan Hongyu still hadn't appeared after half an hour, he would evacuate immediately. Who knew if Li Changte would come out to look for her if he didn't appear in the sycamore forest at the appointed time? The most important thing now was to save his own life. The waiting was excruciating. Half an hour had passed, yet the mountain behind him was completely still. Let's go. Fu Changsheng was decisive. He quickly descended from the canopy of the qinkang tree. Halfway down, he saw a yellow light emerge from the earth below. A red figure flashed out. The yellow light faded, revealing a blood-soaked woman lying on the ground. The jade pendant around her waist was inscribed with a Shangguan family crest, Shangguan Hongyu. Fu Changsheng almost cried out in shock. The information provided by the panel in his sea of consciousness was true, truly true. With this Patriarch intelligence system, there was no need to worry about his future rise. It would also allow him to advance even further on the path of cultivation. Fu Changsheng's hands and feet were shaking with excitement. He swiftly descended from the tree and went to check on Shangguan Hongyu, finding her unconscious. He quickly carried her to his back and activated his only remaining speed talisman. With lightning speed, he streaked through the woods, vanishing in the blink of an eye. In Daxi Village, Nanyang County, in a small fenced courtyard, inside the main room, a groan could be heard. The strange redness on Shangguan Hongyu's face and body, clinging to Fu Changsheng, gradually faded. She slowly lowered her arms and legs from Fu Changsheng's body, sitting upright in front of him. Fu Changsheng breathed a sigh of relief. Shangguan Hongyu was not only severely injured but also infected with Ying's love poison. As soon as she began to recover some strength, she, under the influence of the love poison, began to manipulate him. Fortunately, she was a man of strong will and did not let down her guard. Ying's love poison is over. We can finally move on to the next step. Fu Changsheng placed his hands on Shangguan Hongyu's back and carefully transferred his inner ki through his palms. 2 hours later, accompanied by a low hum, Shangguan Hongyu slowly opened her eyes. Fu Changsheng, sweating profusely, breathed a sigh of relief upon seeing her awake. He retracted his magic spell and swiftly got out of bed. Shangguan Hongyu's beautiful phoenix eyes fixed on Fu Changsheng. What's your name? Her voice was gentle and pleasant. She was nothing like the unruly, arrogant, and domineering person she was rumored to be. It seemed like they could communicate. After Fu Changsheng introduced himself, he briefly explained why he came to Anyang County and why he appeared in Qilian Mountain. Of course, he omitted the panel that appeared in the Sea of Consciousness. At the end, he bowed to the ground and said earnestly, "Miss Shangguan, our clan is now at the critical moment of life and death. I ask fellow Taoists to send a message to the nobles and send people to support us. Changsheng has no other request but to defend Luifang Mountain, the foundation laid by our ancestors." Although Shangguan Hongyu was seriously injured and unconscious, she vaguely remembered the process of Fu Changsheng detoxifying and healing her. Shangguan Hongyu was pleased that Fu Changsheng remained calm and didn't take advantage of the situation. She nodded slightly and asked Fu Changsheng the name of the place. Then, she slapped her storage bag. A flash of light appeared, and a jade talisman appeared in her hand. She inscribed a spell into the talisman and whispered, "Father, I have completed my mission and am now in Daxi Village, Nanyang County. However, I am seriously injured and unable to move. Please, Father, send someone from the formation hall to support me. I'll discuss the details with you when I return to the clan." Shangguan Hongyu retracted the spell, and the spiritual light faded. In just a moment, Shangguan Hongyu's newly recovered strength dissipated, her body trembling. However, she managed a smile and said to Fu Changsheng, "Fellow Taoist Fu, thank you for saving my life. Wait for me." Before she could finish her words, Shangguan Hongyu collapsed limply onto the bed, unconscious again. Fu Changsheng hurried forward to check Shangguan Hongyu's pulse and breathed a sigh of relief. He didn't dare leave the room, fearing something might happen to Shangguan Hongyu. So, he sat cross-legged in meditation before the couch. At that moment, that familiar voice echoed in his mind again. "Ding, you've brought reinforcements to the family, resolving their crisis. You've earned 10 family contribution points." Then, a yellow light flashed on the control panel. The original panel changed again. Family contribution points, 10/100. Chapter 3: A gift from a noble person, an important piece of information. Huh? The family contribution points actually increased by 10 points. Fu Changsheng was filled with satisfaction. With the contribution points, he could redeem them for new intelligence tomorrow, and when he reached 50, he could even activate the random lottery once. Having tasted the sweetness of this, Fu Changsheng decided to cherish and utilize this intelligence system in the future. Daxi Village, where the Shangguan family lived, was thousands of miles away from Anyang County. Fu Changsheng assumed it would take several days for the Shangguan family to reach Daxi Village. Unexpectedly, at first light the next day, a streak of sword light streaked across the sky, reaching the sky above the fenced courtyard in an instant. The aura faded, revealing a red-bearded Taoist priest flying on a sword, accompanied by a large, unshaven man. The ability to fly on a sword indicated that this red-bearded Taoist priest was a Foundation establishment cultivator. Fu Changsheng had seen the portrait in the family's sutra library, and this man was none other than Shangguan Hongyu's father, Shangguan Feng. Fu Changsheng quickly bowed. "Fu Changsheng of Luifang Mountain, greetings, Senior Feng." Shangguan Feng didn't even glance at Fu Changsheng. Instead, he scanned with his spiritual sense. Upon seeing the unconscious Shangguan Hongyu lying on the bed, he flicked his foot and unleashed a flying sword, which instantly landed in the courtyard. After dropping the large man behind him, he instantly flashed back into the room. Reaching out to check Shangguan Hongyu's pulse, he breathed a sigh of relief, then a frown deepened. Fu Changsheng tactfully withdrew from the room, closing the doors and windows. When he reached the courtyard, he saw the large man, also looking into the room with a worried look on his face. Fu Changsheng spoke soothingly, "Although Miss Shangguan is seriously injured, her life is not in danger. Please rest assured, Senior. May I know your name?" He suspected that this man was the formation master Shangguan Hongyu had mentioned. Therefore, Fu Changsheng was relatively friendly. The large man's gaze fell on Fu Changsheng. Seeing the childishness still lingering on his face, and the aura of a man barely reaching the second level of key training, he initially disdained to respond. But then, remembering that he had saved Hongyu, he said calmly, "Everyone calls me Master Chen." Being called a master meant his mastery of formations had reached the second level. Fu Changsheng was delighted. This meant a better chance of repairing their clan's mountain-protecting formation. He quickly said, "Greetings, Master Chen." Shangguan Chen nodded slightly, but didn't respond. The two stood in the fenced courtyard for about a cup of tea. The faint voices of Shangguan Hongyu and her father could be heard from within the room. A moment later, the window slammed open. Shangguan Feng, holding Shangguan Hongyu, flew out of the room and landed on a hovering flying sword. With a flick of his sleeve, a box suddenly floated towards Shangguan Chen. Xiao Liu, later, accompany Fu Xiao out to the Fu family's territory and deploy the second-grade, top-grade 7-star quicksand formation in the box as their Luifang Mountains protective formation. The second-grade, top-grade 7-star quicksand formation draws the energy of the stars as its operating source, a large-scale defensive formation that combines both offense and defense. It operates automatically daily, drawing on the energy of the stars without the need for replenishing spirit stones. Falling into the formation, even a cultivator in the late foundation establishment stage would find it difficult to escape. A comprehensive offensive and defensive formation is rare, especially a large-scale protective formation like this one, requiring at least 10,000 spirit stones. Even Shangguan Chen, a formation master, was stunned for a moment. Then, he lamented that Fu Changsheng was truly blessed with good luck. Seeing Fu Changsheng still stunned, he reminded him, this 7-star quicksand formation was obtained by Elder Feng in the blood-colored Forbidden Land. Only ancient cultivators can refine it. It's priceless in the market. Many people have asked for it, but Elder Feng has refused. Why don't you thank Elder Feng quickly? Fu Changsheng had originally thought that the Shangguan family would help him repair the original mountain protection formation, but he had never expected Shangguan Feng to be so generous. After realizing what was happening, he quickly said, "Thank you, Senior Feng, for the gift. Changsheng will always be grateful." Well, you saved Hongyu, so you are my benefactor. Hongyu is seriously injured and needs to return to the clan for treatment. I will remember your kindness. Remember, live well, your blessings are still to come. Shangguan Feng finished speaking. With a light tap of his flying sword, it transformed into a sword rainbow and disappeared into the sky. Farewell, Senior Feng. Fu Changsheng was filled with excitement and joy. Yesterday's intelligence reported that Li Changtai's rescue of Shangguan Hongyu had propelled the Li family to meteoric success, achieving status as a 9th-rank family in just 10 years. At first, he hadn't understood the reason. But judging by Shangguan Feng's behavior today, it was clear he was leveraging Shangguan Feng's influence. He had never imagined Shangguan Feng would cherish his daughter, Shangguan Hongyu, so much so that he would claim to be her savior. With a foundation establishment cultivator as his backer, there was no reason for the Fu family to remain unscathed. Young friend Fu, where's Luifang Mountain? Lead the way. It's getting late, and we need to be on our way. Shangguan Chen patted his storage bag, and a flash of light appeared, revealing a flying boat suspended in the air. He then infused a spell into the boat, which instantly swelled against the wind, transforming into a small vessel large enough to carry 5 people. Shangguan Chen tapped the ground with his toes, landing gently on the boat like a leaf. Fu Changsheng glanced up at the boat, his eyes brimming with envy. Kigan cultivators couldn't fly with their own weapons and generally relied on flying spirit pets or flying boats. However, spirit pets were rare, and a flying boat cost thousands of spirit stones. It was simply beyond the Fu family's reach. However, Fu Changsheng thought of his intelligence system, and a surge of hope emerged in his heart. If he diligently developed his family and accumulated enough contribution points, he could redeem useful intelligence. Flying boats weren't out of reach. Daxi village was approximately 100 miles from Luifang Mountain. A flying boat could reach it in less than a cup of tea. Sitting cross-legged in the flying boat, Fu Changsheng saw that there was still time. He immediately sent a message to the control panel in his sea of consciousness, exchange intelligence. With a buzzing sound, the daily intelligence panel flashed yellow, and a line of text appeared. While Shangguan Hongyu was unconscious, you stayed by her side. Combined with your ability to remain calm and your life-saving grace, she developed a slight fondness for you. Shangguan Hongyu's graceful face flashed through Fu Changsheng's mind, and his heartbeat inexplicably quickened. But he quickly calmed down. The disparity in their status was too great, it was simply impossible. His gaze fell on the family contribution points panel. The value had dropped from 10 to 8, meaning that each piece of information required 2 family contribution points. This piece of information was of no use to him. Feeling a little regretful, Fu Changsheng immediately thought, continue to exchange information. The panel trembled, yellow light converged, and lines of text appeared again. 10 days later, at the market in Nanyang Town, Fu Tai came to the market with 2 baskets of apples from the orchard. Fu Ming bought a pound of apples, mixed with a cloud mulberry fruit. Fu Ming exploded and died after consuming it. Chapter 4, Revenge, First Lottery. It's actually a yangang fruit. Fu Changsheng's eyes lit up. The yangang fruit is a first-grade, mid-grade spiritual fruit. If he could obtain it, it would be enough to help him break through to the 3rd level of key training. Fu Ming was likely an ordinary mortal, his body untempered by spiritual energy, unable to withstand the terrifying medicinal power of the yangang fruit. And Nanyang town lay at the foot of Luofang Mountain. This was a rare opportunity. Fu Changsheng silently memorized Fu Tai's name. After exchanging 2 pieces of information, his family's contribution value had reached 6, and he could only redeem 3 more pieces of information. Fu Changsheng had originally considered calling it a day. After all, reaching 50 family contributors allowed him to enter a random lottery, a feature he hadn't yet unlocked. However, he thought again. Luofang Mountain had been looted by southern barbarians and independent cultivators, and with the Liu family's covetous eyes on them, if there were any traps hidden within the clan territory, the consequences would be unimaginable. The Fu family could no longer withstand any changes. Losing family contribution points could be earned again, but losing people meant losing everything. Fu Changsheng immediately thought, exchange all family contribution points for information. The panel trembled. A yellow light surged, and then lines of text appeared. 1. The hawk flying overhead is deeply depressed, because its mate, dissatisfied with its mating skills, has eloped with another bird. 2. The trader Li Giming was attacked by the southern barbarians and is seriously injured. He is hiding in the pond and cave behind your house to recuperate, his combat power reduced to 1/10 of what it was. 3. Your 4th sister possesses the talent of a beast master, Li Giming. Fu Changsheng's eyes fell on the 2nd piece of information and narrowed. The blood feud of his grandfather and elders finally had a chance to be repaid with blood. As for the 3rd piece of information, Fu Changsheng simply kept it in mind. His current goal was to kill that old man Li Giming first. Luofang Mountain was right in front of him. Fu Changsheng wasted no time and immediately stepped forward, bowing. Master Chen, before we set out, my clan brother sent me a letter saying that the trader Li Giming is gravely injured and is currently recuperating in a cave in the back mountain. Master Chen, please help us slay this treacherous villain for our Fu family. We will reward you handsomely afterwards. Li Giming was only at the 7th level of key training and was seriously injured. Shangguan Chen, however, was already at the peak of key training. This was a simple task. Shangguan Chen nodded calmly. Those who betray their own people deserve to be annihilated. With that, a spell struck the flying boat. Rays of white light rose, enveloping the entire craft. After a slight tremor, the craft vanished. Luofang Mountain, the back mountain cave. This cave was personally opened by Li Giming, concealing the Fu family from the public. He also set up a small, first-grade, inverted 5 elements formation to conceal the entrance. Therefore, he was recuperating in the cave. He had no worries, but for some reason, he suddenly felt uneasy. What's going on? A cultivator's telepathy in life or death situations is incredibly powerful. Although Li Giming couldn't figure out what was going on, he knew he couldn't stay here any longer. We have to leave immediately. Too late. Li Giming had just stood up when, seemingly unnoticed, a bagua formation appeared above him. A beam of yellow light emanated from it, shooting towards him at lightning speed. Li Giming hastily blocked it with his black turtle shield. With a thud, the yellow beam collided with a black turtle shield, the immense recoil sending him stumbling backwards. Steadying himself, he saw a flying boat materialize from where he had been standing. Aboard it, Shangguan Chen and Fu Changsheng posed. Li Giming's pupils shrank. That bastard Fu Changsheng had summoned reinforcements so quickly. He knew Shangguan Chen's reputation, and had no desire to fight. He immediately formed a seal with his right hand. With a bang, a cloud of blood exploded, enveloping him. He was about to use the blood escape technique to escape. At the critical moment, a calming talisman lightly touched his back. Li Giming froze, unable to move. A yellow beam of light swirled back from the black turtle shield, rumbling with a bang, poised to pierce through Li Giming's head, blasting him into dust. Fu Changsheng immediately declared, Master Chen, I will kill this old villain. He took the flying sword Shangguan Chen offered, tapped his toes, and leaped high. With lightning speed, the flying sword in his hand slashed past Li Giming's neck. No! A shrill scream rang out. Li Giming's head tumbled to the ground, blood splattering Fu Changsheng's head and face. Shangguan waved his sleeve, and the storage bag and the black turtle shield floated toward him. With a flick of his index finger, the black turtle shield shrank to the size of a palm and landed in front of Fu Changsheng. Take this black turtle shield. Don't refuse. First, you saved my life and Yu Hongyu's honor. Second, if it weren't for your intelligence, I wouldn't have discovered Li Giming's hiding place. Furthermore, given Li Giming's shrewdness, he would have surely used the blood escape technique the moment he saw the flying boat. The blood escape technique involves burning one's own blood essence, escaping faster than the flying boat itself, making it impossible for him to catch up. Master Chen, I'll be honored to accept it, avenged. Fu Changsheng appeared calm, but inwardly, he was overcome with emotion. He wiped the blood from his face and took the black turtle shield, placing it in his pocket. The black turtle shield was a top-grade, first-grade protective magical artifact. It had even withstood Master Chen's strongest attack. To him, it was a treasure. Not a single magical weapon remained on his person. Of course, most importantly, the blood feud of his grandfather, uncles, and elders had finally been avenged. Fu Changsheng carried Li Giming's head to the clan's mountain cemetery. The bodies of his grandfather, uncles, and elders had been devoured alive by the southern barbarians, leaving nothing behind. Fu Changsheng had simply made a cenotaph. Holding incense in both hands, he bowed respectfully 3 times. Then, standing up, he solemnly said, "Grandfather, uncle, rest in peace. Li Giming has been eliminated. Next up will be the southern barbarian Xianlong tribe that has invaded our clan. One day, I will lead my people to crush the Xianlong tribe and make them pay with blood." Fu Changsheng inserted the incense stick into the incense burner. As he straightened up, the familiar voice rang out again, "Ling, you have eliminated a major threat to our clan and avenged the blood feud of our members who died in the underworld. You have earned 56 clan contribution points." Then, a yellow light flashed on the panel. The original panel changed again. Family contribution value, 56/100. It actually increased by 56 contribution points. Fu Changsheng was surprised and happy. He never expected that killing that old thief Li Giming would actually allow him to obtain the largest number of contribution points. If he really slaughtered the Nanman Xianlong tribe in the future, wouldn't the contribution points directly exceed 100? At this time, the third button on the panel, Random Lottery, was already lit. 50 contribution points can be used to draw a lottery once. Even if he draws once now, he can redeem 3 pieces of information. Fu Changsheng's heart was pounding. The system function is so amazing, so the prizes given should not be ordinary goods. Fu Changsheng resisted the urge to draw the lottery immediately and returned to the secret room. After confirming the secrecy again and again, he thought, redeem the lottery. Chapter 5, Taking the position of clan leader and obtaining the yangang fruit. A yellow light surged across the panel. The family's contribution points dropped directly from 56 to 6. There was a buzzing sound. Fu Changsheng subconsciously glanced at his sleeve, only to find it bulging. Inside was a box with a white background and dragon pattern. When the box opened, a palm-sized robe came into view. Then, a message streamed into a sea of consciousness. First grade, superior invisibility cloak. Once worn, no one, except cultivators who have awakened to divine consciousness, can detect your presence. Doesn't that mean that with this cloak, he could walk freely among the key training cultivators? For him, who was only at the 2nd level of key training, this cloak came at the perfect time. Especially since he had a trip to Nanyang Market soon. The family's 50 acres of spiritual fields needed to be replanted with red marrow rice as soon as possible, and the seeds had to be purchased at Nanyang Market. With a cloak, his journey to the market would be much safer. Fu Changsheng immediately consecrated the invisibility cloak. After donning it, he truly became invisible, completely invisible. I wonder if Master Chen can detect me. Shangguan was at the peak of his key training. If even he couldn't see through the cloak, then the cloak's security was undoubtedly impeccable. Let's give it a try. Fu Changsheng acted immediately, donning the cloak and wandering around Shangguan, who was setting up the formation. Noticing that Shangguan didn't even frown, he said, "This cloak is truly amazing." A few days passed. As the intelligence indicated, the day Fu Tai would purchase the cloud mulberry fruit in Nanyang Town was approaching, and Shangguan had finally completed the 7-star quicksand formation. Within Luifang Mountain, the 7 directions, heavenly dry, earthly evil, corresponded to the Big Dipper in the sky. Threads of star power descended upon the 7 formation plates, and the entire mountain trembled with a rumbling sound. Starlight coalesced into a silver shield in the air, which then fell with a thud, shielding the entire mountain. The shimmering starlight imbued Luifang Mountain with a mysterious aura. Shangguan Chen's face was pale with exhaustion. Fu Changsheng stepped forward and bowed, saying, "Master Chen, thank you for your hard work, it's my job. This is the pass token for the 7-star quicksand formation. Take it." Here's the incantation. Shangguan Chen had been on Luifang Mountain for nearly 10 days and clearly didn't want to linger any longer. He briefly demonstrated several times how to control the formation's central disk, gave Fu Changsheng a few more instructions, and was about to launch his flying boat away. Fu Changsheng quickly mentioned the payment for killing Li Giming. Shangguan Chen waved his hand away, saying, "I've taken care of Hongyu since she was a child. You're her savior. There's no need to mention such a trivial matter." Fu Changsheng bowed and thanked him. After seeing Shangguan Chen off, he stroked the pass token, feeling a surge of excitement. With this formation, the Fu family's safety would be assured for the next few years. Hiding in the maple forest, the eldest brother, third brother, and fourth sister also rushed back to the clan's land. Upon catching sight of the starlit Luifang Mountain clan site, their eyes widened. The chubby third brother, Fu Changgai, gave Fu Changsheng a thumbs up. "You're truly second brother. Not only did you successfully ascend the Shangguan family tree, but you also resolved the family crisis. Third brother, according to the rules, we should call you second brother clan leader from now on." Fourth sister, Fu Changli, said this, glancing at eldest brother, Fu Changren. Of the 4, eldest brother, Fu Changren, was the oldest and had a higher cultivation level than the others, reaching the 3rd level of key training. However, since eldest brother came from the 2nd branch of the family, the position of clan leader should naturally go to Fu Changsheng. Fourth sister, Fu Changli, feared that eldest brother, Fu Changren, would overthink things. However, Fu Changren was the first to rise and respectfully bowed to Fu Changsheng. "Greetings, Patriarch." Seeing this, the 3rd and 4th brothers followed suit. Fu Changsheng nodded and said, "Now there are only 4 of us cultivators left in the Fu family. If we want to preserve our ancestral legacy, we must unite as one, strive for progress, and rekindle our ancestors' glory." "Yes, Patriarch," the 3 agreed in unison. Just as Fu Changsheng was about to give instructions for the next steps, the interface in his mind buzzed. The familiar voice echoed again, "Ling, you have successfully earned the approval of your 3 siblings, rightfully ascending to the position of Patriarch. You have received 9 contribution points." Immediately, the family contribution point value suddenly jumped from 6 to 15. This was a pleasant surprise. Now, he could continue exchanging information. He then said, "Big brother, the care of our 50 acres of spiritual farmland will be fully entrusted to you. Third brother and fourth sister, you 2 will assist me. I am a first-rank, mid-grade spiritual plant husband. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me." "Yes," the 3 complied. Fu Changsheng gave a few instructions, declaring he was going to Nanyang town for an inspection, leaving his eldest brother, Fu Changren, to lead the other 2 in cultivating the spiritual fields. Before leaving, he specifically handed his eldest brother Fu Changren the pass token for the 7-star quicksand formation. "Brother, remember this, no one is allowed in without my permission, and you 3 are not allowed to leave without permission." The Fu family could no longer withstand another betrayal. Nanyang town lay at the foot of Luifang Mountain. The town's market was held every 3 days, when villagers from other villages would bring their produce to the market. Fu Changsheng donned his invisibility cloak and left Luifang Mountain. Arriving in Nanyang town, he went straight to Mayor Fu. Mayor Fu was the eldest son of a concubine, unable to cultivate spiritual cultivation, and had been assigned to govern the secular town. The news of Fu Changsheng's appointment as the new clan leader had been announced to the entire clan, but due to the special circumstances, no banquet was held. Seeing the clan leader arrive in person, Town Chief Fu was filled with trepidation. "Clan leader, how may I be of assistance?" "Stand guard at the town gate. When you see Fu Tai approaching, have him carry his basket and bring it to me. Remember, no word must leak. As you command, I'll be there, right away." Town Chief Fu was terrified, unsure of what Fu Tai had done wrong. He remembered him as an honest fruit farmer whose orchard had been around for a century or 2. And his apples were always snapped up as soon as they hit the market. He simply couldn't imagine what Fu Tai had done. The market was bustling with a steady stream of villagers entering the city. Guarding the gate, Town Chief Fu waited anxiously until he finally spotted Fu Tai in the distance. He quickly walked over and said, "I'll take all your apples. Please help me carry them up to my house." "Oh, thank you very much for your patronage, Mayor." Fu Tai wasn't surprised. Their orchard had always had a good market, and since this was the first batch of apples to ripen, the mayor might even want to give them away as gifts. Fu Changsheng waited at the mayor's residence for about an hour. Finally, he heard heavy footsteps outside the hall. Then, a farmer walked in carrying 2 baskets of apples. Fu Changsheng waved his hand. "All right, you two can wait outside." He immediately stood up from his seat and walked quickly to the 2 baskets. Chapter 6 Breakthrough, Dragon Bloodline. Having already reached the 2nd level of key training, he possessed a natural sensitivity to spiritual objects. His gaze fell on the basket to his right. He formed a seal with his right hand, sending a stream of spiritual energy into a pile of apples. Then, a cloud mulberry fruit, resembling an apple yet somewhat unlike it, floated upward. "It's truly a cloud mulberry fruit." Fu Changsheng was overjoyed. He had already entered the 2nd level of key training for several months, and with a spiritual fruit, breaking through to the 3rd level would be no problem at all. Resisting the urge to consume it immediately, he carefully placed the cloud mulberry fruit into a box, slipping it into his sleeve. He then called out to the outside, "Fu Tai, come in." Fu Tai had already been informed outside that the young man before him was the new clan leader. Therefore, upon entering, he immediately bowed down and said, "Master Clan Leader, my ancestors have diligently tended the fruit trees and have never committed any crime. Please observe this, don't be afraid. I called you here to ask you a few questions. Just answer truthfully. The apples you picked today were all from your orchard. Think carefully before your answer, Master Clan Leader. In the entire town of Nanyang, my orchard is the first to ripen apples. So I guarantee with my life that these 2 baskets of apples were indeed picked from my orchard." "Okay, I see. Your apples are well grown. Please lead me to your orchard for a tour." Since the cloud mulberry fruit grew in the orchard, the spirit mulberry tree should also be there. If they could be transplanted to their clan's land and well cared for, dozens of spirit fruits would ripen every year. That would translate into hundreds of low-grade spirit stones. Fu Changsheng naturally wouldn't miss this opportunity. It would be his first pot of gold as clan leader. Mayor Fu immediately arranged for a carriage, and the 3 of them journeyed back from the town to Maple Leaf Village, where Fu Tai lived. Maple Leaf Village was surrounded on 3 sides by mountains dotted with fruit trees, and the villagers made a living selling fruit. When they arrived at Fu Tai's orchard, they discovered it covered dozens of acres. If they were to search tree by tree on foot, it would likely take days. Fu Changsheng pulled a cloud mulberry fruit from his sleeve and handed it to Fu Tai, saying, "Do you remember this apple?" Upon seeing the cloud mulberry fruit, Fu Tai began to stutter, feeling guilty. "Headmaster, this one is smaller, but I remember it." As Fu Tai recounted it, he realized that this cloud mulberry fruit had only grown to this size after years on the tree, and no matter how much fertilizer was applied, each tree only produced 1 fruit. After picking it, he thought it looked inferior and was about to throw it away. Later, his wife said the family had cared for it for years and couldn't bear to part with it, so she threw it in anyway. "Chief, that small fruit tree was uprooted when we returned from town. We weren't trying to pass it off as inferior fruit. Where is that tree? Lead the way." Fu Changsheng felt relieved. Fortunately, he had discovered it beforehand. Otherwise, a first-grade, mid-quality spiritual fruit tree would have been wasted. Fu Tai led the way, fearful and apprehensive. From afar, Fu Changsheng sensed a faint fluctuation of spiritual energy. Approaching, he saw a full-grown spiritual mulberry tree, standing tall among the apple trees. It looked like an apple tree, but a closer look revealed butterfly marks on the veins of its leaves. This was the mark of a spiritual mulberry tree. Fu Changsheng immediately turned to Mayor Fu and said, "Mayor Fu, give Fu Tai all the taxes the town is supposed to pay this year." "What?" Both Fu Tai and Mayor Fu were stunned. Fu Tai, in particular, thought the clan leader was coming to punish him for selling defective apples. He had never imagined that immense wealth would fall upon him. Nanyang Town was the wealthiest town in Nanyang County, and the annual tax revenue was enough to provide him with a comfortable life. He roared with excitement, his eyes rolled back, and he passed out. Fu Changsheng carefully transplanted the spiritual mulberry tree. Such a large tree could only be towed back to Luifang Mountain by a carriage. Without a storage bag, this is really troublesome. Otherwise, he could just toss the tree into the storage bag and be done with it. Guess I need to find a way to buy one. A storage bag cost several hundred spirit stones. The spirit stones Meijin had given him were only enough to buy red marrow rice seeds, a spirit hoe, and a spirit sickle, not much more. While he was pondering, a familiar voice echoed through his sea of consciousness. Ling, you transplanted a first-grade, mid-grade spiritual mulberry tree for the clan, earning 5 clan contribution points. Fu Changsheng glanced at the control panel. He realized that his family contribution points had already accumulated to 20 without him noticing. Without hesitation, he said, exchange for information. Buzz. The panel vibrated. A large amount of yellow light surged. Then, lines of text appeared. 1. After receiving a generous tax payment, Fu Tai, no longer worried about making a living, immediately took in many wives and concubines, planning to have many children, hoping that one of his children would be a talented cultivator. 2. In half a month, a number of spirit pets will be stocked in the spirit pet shops in Nanyang Market. Among them is a severely injured little green snake with a bloodline of a dragon. 3. Shangguan Hongyu has issued a warning to the other 4 major key cultivating families in Anyang County. As long as he is here, anyone who dares to touch a hair on your head will be an enemy of his Shangguan family. 4. Clan leader Liu tried desperately to arrange a marriage between Liu Mizhen and the second son of the Shangguan family. Liu Mizhen refused to comply and swore she would never marry anyone but you. Fu Changsheng, stop the exchange. Fu Changsheng was delighted when he read the first few pieces of information, but when he saw the last one, his brow furrowed. It seems I need to accelerate my own and my family's development. Otherwise, Mizhen will have to withstand too much pressure from the family. However, for the current Fu family, becoming rich overnight is clearly impossible. Unless Fu Changsheng had a vague idea in mind. However, implementing it would depend on the right time, place, and people. Mizhen, just hold on a little longer. After Fu Changsheng returned to the clan, his eldest brother Fu Changren saw the spiritual mulberry tree Fu Changsheng had brought back. His eyes lit up, and he immediately took it with both hands and transplanted it. If it was cultivated well, their clan's income would increase by hundreds of spirit stones next year. Fu Changsheng gave everyone a few instructions and immediately chose to go into seclusion. He planned to break through to the 3rd level of key training before setting off for Nanyang Market. He should have enough time. The little green snake with dragon blood belonged to him. After bathing and burning incense, bringing his body and mind to optimal condition, Fu Changsheng immediately opened his mouth and swallowed the lingsang fruit. The lingsang fruit's medicinal properties were mild, melting in his mouth. The surging medicinal power flowed into his 8 extraordinary meridians. Fu Changsheng activated his technique, channeling them to the 2nd bridge of heaven and earth. After 5 great cycles, he saw the mystic key in his danshan expand by 1/3. 3rd level of key training, Fu Changsheng opened his eyes with joy. Chapter 7 Treasure, the first pot of gold. He made a hand seal with his right hand, and with a puff, a fireball the size of a paper ball condensed in front of his chest. The fireball persisted, lingering for more than 10 breaths before showing signs of instability. Fu Changsheng swung his magic sword. The fireball landed on the stone wall behind him with a rumble, and a myriad of flames exploded. Not bad. Not only has my spellcasting become faster after this breakthrough, but the power of my fire magic is more than doubled. Fu Changsheng was very satisfied. He couldn't help but anticipate the changes that would come with reaching the middle stage of key training. It's time to go to the Nanyang Market. He had to capture the little green snake with the blood of a dragon as soon as possible. However, he only had enough spirit stones to buy a spirit hoe and red marrow rice seeds, not enough to purchase a 1st grade, mid-grade little green snake. If all else fails, I'll have to pawn my black turtle shield. The black turtle shield, while important, was nothing compared to the little green snake with the blood of a dragon. He stood up. He then remembered that he hadn't exchanged any information during his retreat. He still had 12 family contribution points on his dashboard, enough to exchange for 6 pieces of information. He acted immediately. Exchange information. The dashboard buzzed. A yellow light surged. Then, lines of text flashed. 1. During your retreat, your 3rd brother mastered the spring breeze and rain technique, and your 4th sister mastered the golden needle technique, laying the foundation for future cultivation of red marrow rice. 2. In an unremarkable stone cave at the foot of Luofang Mountain, covered in green vines, the trader Li Giming has hidden part of his wealth. Stop exchanging. Upon seeing the second piece of information, Fu Changsheng was both surprised and delighted. That trader Li Giming is truly cunning. He prayed that his hidden stash of spirit stones was enough for him to purchase the little green snake. When he emerged from the secret room, eldest brother Fu Changguan was explaining the key techniques of cultivating red marrow rice to his third and fourth brothers and sisters. When his eyes fell on Fu Changsheng, his body trembled. Master, have you reached the third level of key training? Fu Changsheng nodded slightly. Fu Changguan's face was filled with disbelief. At Fu Changsheng's rate of cultivation, reaching the third level would require at least 7 or 8 months of practice. He must have been blessed by the Shangguan family with a breakthrough fruit. Congratulations, Master, on reaching the third level of key training. The third and fourth brothers hurriedly congratulated him. Fu Changsheng gave a few instructions, politely declining his eldest brother's offer to accompany him to Nanyang Market. He then emerged from Luofang Mountain and immediately donned his invisibility cloak. After walking south for half an hour, a stone mountain came into view. According to intelligence, Li Giming's treasure was hidden in a cave covered in green ivy. The stone mountain wasn't large, so finding the destination was easy. However, the cave itself was covered in green ivy. Searching every inch was a massive undertaking, and it could easily attract the prying eyes of passing monks. Fu Changsheng immediately formed a seal with his right hand. With a puff, a ball of flame condensed and erupted, landing with a bang in the cave, setting the green vines ablaze. Half a cup of tea later, the cave opened up. With a tap of his toes, Fu Changsheng nimbly climbed to the top of the stone wall, peering down at the entire site, his gaze carefully scanning the caverns. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. Found it, he pressed a palm against the stone wall, and with a rebound force, he landed lightly in front of the right wall. At the base of the wall, he saw a faint piece of green tile. Fu Changsheng pressed the black turtle shield against his chest. A spell struck the green tile. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Instantly, 10 arrows shot out from beneath the stone, each blocked with a clang as Fu Changsheng raised his black turtle shield. The arrows that landed on the ground were a dark green, evidently poisoned. That old man Li Giming is truly treacherous. Fortunately, he had taken out a black turtle shield beforehand. After the blue tile was lifted, a white box with tiger stripes came into view. Fu Changsheng quickly tucked the box into his arms, then donned his invisibility cloak. He quickly left the area, traversing the rocky mountain. When he reached the Changliu River, he saw no one was following him, so he opened the box. Inside, surprisingly, were 500 neatly stacked low-grade spirit stones. Nothing else. Big win. 500 spirit stones were more than enough to buy the little green snake. Fu Changsheng tucked the box into his arms. After crossing the Changliu River ferry, he arrived at a small hill. A formation was set up on the hill. The Nanyang Market was located within. He had been here once before with his grandfather a year ago, so he remembered the route. After emerging from the maze, he was suddenly struck by a bustling clamor. He saw Main Street lined with small, two-story shops. At the end of the street stood nearly 100 stalls, and almost all the people coming in and out were key refining cultivators. Fu Changsheng identified the direction and planned to visit the Wanbao Pavilion first. They had a comprehensive selection of goods and were open to all. However, he had been inside for less than 10 breaths when he emerged with a frown. The spirit hoes and sickles sold at the Wanbao Pavilion were all top grade, used not only for cultivating spiritual fields but also as magical weapons against enemies. Each one cost nearly 200 spirit stones. Their 50 acres of spiritual fields would require at least 2 or 3 hoes or sickles. The spirit stones he had brought, after buying the little green snake, were not enough. He turned and headed towards the stalls in the back street. The stall fee is only 1 spirit stone a day, so the price here is slightly cheaper, but the quality and authenticity need to be controlled by yourself. The vendors on both sides saw that Fu Changsheng was so young, and it was a rare opportunity for him to come, so they immediately greeted him warmly. Fu Changsheng looked at every stall casually, asked the price, but did not buy anything. The vendors knew that he was a poor man, so they lost the intention to attract customers. Unknowingly, he walked to the end. At the end, a woman wearing a veil was sitting cross-legged in meditation, reading a book, The Complete Explanation of the Way of Talismans, with great interest. There were only 3 spirit hoes, 2 spirit sickles, and a bag of red marrow rice seeds on the stall in front of her. Fu Changsheng came. The other party did not greet him, but just read the book. Both the spirit hoe and the spirit sickle were of first grade low grade, and looked half new. The spiritual fields in the clan's land were of the lower first grade, and the spiritual hoe and sickle before them were undoubtedly the most suitable. Fellow Taoist, excuse me, how much do you charge for these sickles and hoes? The woman closed her book, glanced at Fu Changsheng, and shook her head. Fellow Taoist, I'm not selling these items separately. If you really want them, please ask your elders to come over. Fu Changsheng had just turned 15. The baby fat on his face hadn't faded. The woman thought Fu Changsheng must have been traveling with his elders to see the world. Fellow Taoist, I'm the boss of my family. Please name a price. The woman looked at Fu Changsheng in surprise. Only then did she notice he was wearing Fu family attire. Her eyes shifted, and she immediately realized that this man must be the new head of Luofang Mountain, who had recently joined the Shangguan family. He was so young, yet he was already the head of the clan. The woman felt a certain envy. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8, Mutated Little Green Snake, Yuanying Great Monk 100 years later. 3 spirit hoes, 2 spirit sickles, and 30 kilograms of red marrow rice seeds, a total of 321 spirit stones. No bargaining, the woman said firmly. Fu Changsheng thought the price was reasonable, but he still shook his head. Fellow Taoist, your spirit hoe is starting to bald. If you want to use it, you'll have to take it to a weapon refinery for processing. This one will cost several spirit stones, and all 5 will cost dozens. Look, I'm serious about buying them. Can you please cut off the price and make it 300 spirit stones? These items are all my father's legacy. If I didn't truly lack the talent for a spirit plant husband, I would never sell them. Besides, I have a use for these spirit stones, so I can't lose a single one. With that, the woman sat down again, opened the complete explanation of the way of talismans, and began reading with great interest. Fu Changsheng walked a few steps, but received no greeting. Embarrassed, he turned back and said, Fellow Taoist, I'll take your things, but could you please give me a copy of this complete explanation of the way of talismans you have? All the manuals on cultivation techniques in his home had been stolen by the southern barbarians. Nothing was left. Because his cultivation level was too low, he hadn't had time to learn the various arts of cultivation. The woman hesitated, then said, I spent 50 spirit stones on this complete explanation of the way of talismans. The implication was that Fu Changsheng should compensate her for the loss. However, Fu Changsheng seemed not to hear. The woman could only say, fine. She pulled out another copy from her pocket. The cover was new, and the words complete explanation of the way of talismans were clearly written on it. Fu Changsheng was stunned. It seemed the other person was reading, but in reality, he had other intentions. After the 2 of them exchanged money, Fu Changsheng wrapped the spirit hoe and sickle in cloth and placed them in a bag of red marrow rice. Holding it in one hand, he quickly walked towards the spirit pet shop. According to the time, this was the time when the spirit pet shop was getting new products. The shop was sparsely populated, with only a few customers. After all, even the cheapest, low-grade, first-grade spirit pets cost several hundred yuan. He had just entered when Liu Qingyan, wearing a veil, arrived. He figured the important matter the other person was talking about was purchasing a spirit pet. In a flash, a possibility suddenly occurred to Fu Changsheng. His heartbeat immediately accelerated. Without hesitation, he glanced past each caged spirit pet, passing by immediately if it wasn't a snake. As he neared the end of the shop, he saw the other person's name. He didn't see the little green snake either. Could it be that the shop hasn't taken the little green snake in yet? He took a few more steps inside. A sudden flash of green caught his eye. A 3-foot-long, coiled little green snake was trapped in the last cage. A closer look revealed that its tail was broken in half, and its breath was weak. The shopkeeper saw Fu Changsheng's intense observation. Glancing at Fu Changsheng's clothing, his mind raced, and he spoke without hesitation, Sir, this little green snake is truly pitiful. Its entire family was wiped out by some high-level demonic beast, and only it managed to escape death by falling off a cliff. It's truly pitiful. The shopkeeper was clearly trying to resonate with Fu Changsheng. Fu Changsheng, struggling to find an excuse to avoid suspicion, felt his eyes well up. "Shopkeeper, how many spirit stones does this little green snake cost? I want it." As he spoke, he saw Liu Qingyan enter from the corner of his eye. As expected. If he hadn't come today. "I'm afraid Liu Qingyan has but a little green snake." The shopkeeper pondered for a moment, believing the Fu family had been plundered, and that exorbitant prices would only drive customers away. He settled for a middle price. "Sir, considering your connection to it, I'll charge you the cost price, rounding it up to 300 spirit stones." "Okay." Fu Changsheng immediately took out a box, opened it, took one spirit stone, and gave the rest to the shopkeeper. Seeing this, the shopkeeper felt uneasy. Clearly, this price was the most spirit stones Fu Changsheng could offer. The transaction was completed. Fu Changsheng draped the black cloth he had prepared over the little green snake's cage, picked it up, and left. As he passed by Liu Qingyan, she felt a vague sense of having missed out. After leaving the spirit pet shop, Fu Changsheng's heart, which had been hanging in the balance, relaxed. At this moment, in the corner of his eye, he caught a glimpse of several people trailing him. One of them, if he wasn't mistaken, was none other than Li Changtai of the Li family. After his failed assassination attempt on him in the Wutong forest of the Kilian Mountains, Li Changtai clearly hadn't given up on his evil intentions. HMPH, Fu Changsheng sneered. He dared to shop so brazenly, naturally aided by his invisibility cloak. Almost all the cultivators in the market were in the key refining stage. As long as he threw on the cloak, they wouldn't be able to detect him at all. Therefore, he turned and went straight to the toilet. He donned the cloak in that toilet, leaped up, and leaped to the second toilet. Once the door was opened, he slipped out, leaving the Nanyang market unnoticed. He returned safely to his clan's territory. When he handed the spiritual hoe, spiritual sickle, and red marrow rice to his eldest brother, Fu Changren was instantly overwhelmed with excitement, yet also felt a touch of guilt. After all, they couldn't even scrape together a single spiritual stone. Fu Changsheng had purchased all these items himself. He could only pat his chest and promise, "Master, rest assured. I will wholeheartedly care for these 50 acres of spiritual fields and ensure a bountiful harvest next year. Then I'll have to trouble you, brother." Fu Changsheng pulled out the complete explanation of the way of talismans from his arms and had the three siblings copy a copy to see if any of them had talent for talisman making. As he returned to his cave, a familiar voice echoed in his mind again. "Ling, you have purchased 3 spiritual hoes, 2 spiritual sickles, and 30 kilograms of red marrow rice seeds for the family. You have earned 35 family contribution points." Fu Changsheng was delighted. He had never imagined that purchasing supplies for the family would come with rewards. At this moment, the family contribution points had dramatically dropped from 8 to 43. Just as he was about to redeem them for daily intelligence, the panel flashed again. "Ling, you provided the family with a copy of the complete explanation of the way of talismans, earning 13 family contribution points. At the same time, the family contribution points climbed to 56. 50, a chance to win a prize." The panel prompted whether to enter the prize. Fu Changsheng hesitated. He only had 1 spirit stone left. His contribution to the family was limited. If he used 50 contribution points, it would be difficult to accumulate that number again. After a moment's hesitation, Fu Changsheng had an idea. Exchange for daily intelligence, he planned to check the next 3 pieces of intelligence. If any were valid, he would redeem the remaining 50 points for the prize draw, and then accumulate contribution points through valid information. This way, he could avoid delaying both. The panel glowed with yellow light. Then, lines of text appeared. 1. Your 10th uncle has an illegitimate daughter, Molin, in Wanho Tower in Anyang County. She will be taken away by Li Changtai in 10 days. 200 years later, Molin will become a Yuanying cultivator of the Great Zhou dynasty. 2. Chapter 9 The Second Lottery, a chance for revenge. When the words nascent soul great monk appeared in the first piece of intelligence, Fu Changsheng was stunned for a moment and immediately stopped the exchange. He read the information over and over again, and after confirming the text was correct, he could no longer suppress the smile on his face. In the Great Zhou dynasty, nascent soul great monks were rare. He had never expected that such a gifted cultivator would appear in his Fu family. With a son like him, even a first-rank family, let alone a 9th-rank family, could be canonized. Fu Changsheng couldn't help but feel full of energy. It was hard for him to resist the urge to rush to Anyang County. He took a deep breath. After calming down, he focused his attention on the system panel and selected to continue exchanging information. 4 months later, Li Shangtai fought a green wolf monster in Limang Mountain to steal the soul yin grass from its lair. Both were defeated, and Li Changtai narrowly escaped death and returned to the Li family. Li Changtai. Seeing this name, Fu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly. He still clearly remembered how the enemy had attempted to ambush and kill him in the Kilian Mountains, and then stalked him like a shadow in the market. If it weren't for the intelligence provided by the system, he would have been reunited with his family in the underworld by now. Li Changtai, you have come to this, obviously. 4 months from now would be the perfect time for revenge. Moreover, the soul-enriching grass was a first-grade, mid-grade spiritual herb, the main ingredient in refining the soul-enriching pill. If he could obtain both, it would undoubtedly be a golden opportunity for him to enhance his strength. Although Limang Mountain is only on the outskirts of the eastern wilderness, it's still too dangerous for a mere cultivator at the 3rd level of key training to go there. If he could utilize the intelligence system to break through to the middle stage of key training within these 4 months, his safety factor would obviously be much higher. Fu Changsheng's gaze fell on the random lottery on the control panel. He now had 52 contribution points remaining, which he could use to enter the lottery once and redeem one piece of information. He pondered for a moment. He immediately said, "Continue exchanging information." 3. Your 4th sister has already reached the 3rd level of key training. She only needs 10 days of cultivation in the spiritual spring well to break through. Fu Changsheng was stunned. His 4th sister had never mentioned this to him. The clan's spiritual vein was only of the middle grade, 1st order. They had opened a spiritual spring well, but to avoid draining the pond, they used it for 10 days, then closed it for 10 days to allow it to recover. His 4th sister hadn't made any requests. Presumably, she felt that the spiritual spring well should be used by him, the head of the clan, first. This 4th sister is truly. Fu Changsheng felt both distressed and touched. He decided to talk to his 4th sister shortly. The 3 pieces of information he exchanged this time would be of immense use to him. Fu Changsheng's eyes fell on the daily lottery panel, and he said nervously and expectantly, "Exchange for the lottery." Buzz! A strong yellow light surged across the panel. 50 clan contribution points were cleared. The next moment, a long string of information flashed through his mind. Fu Changsheng closed his eyes for a moment to digest the thought. Then his eyes lit up. It's actually Windblade. This was a mid-grade, 1st-tier spell, far rarer than the 5 elements spells. If cultivated to perfection, it would clearly rival an ordinary, top-tier, 1st-tier spell. Currently, he only mastered a low-grade, 1st-tier fireball spell. He was very pleased with the prize he had redeemed. He immediately took a pen and copied it down. Once he was done, he left the secret room and entered the spiritual medicine garden. His eldest brother, Fu Changguan, and the other 2 were busy tilling the spiritual fields with their spiritual hoes, each sweating profusely. Fu Changsheng beckoned, "Brother, 3rd brother, 4th sister, come here." Okay, their mana was also depleted, so it was a good time to rest. When the 3 arrived, Fu Changsheng pulled the manuscript from his sleeve. This is a mid-grade, 1st-tier Windblade spell. You can practice it sometime. Windblade spell. Fu Changguan, the eldest brother, was filled with disbelief. This spell was almost equivalent to a top-grade spell, one not previously found in the Fu family's sutra library. He quickly flipped through it and discovered it was indeed the Windblade technique. He was instantly thrilled, yet at the same time, he felt a tinge of guilt. The Patriarch had not only bought the Spirit Hoe, Spirit Scythe, and Red Marrow Rice Seeds, but now generously offered them the Windblade technique to practice. And yet, as the eldest brother, he hadn't done anything. Seeing the 3 people's expressions converge, Fu Changsheng offered a few words of comfort. Just as he was about to speak to the 4th sister, a familiar voice echoed in his mind, "Ling, you have contributed a 1st-grade, mid-grade spell to the family, earning 30 family contribution points." Fu Changsheng was visibly stunned. Then, he was overjoyed. This Windblade technique was a system lottery, and he hadn't expected to earn contribution points. This was a pleasant surprise. Seeing the points on the dashboard climb to 30, he felt a surge of security. He smiled and said to the 4th sister, "4th sister, hold out your hand." The 4th sister was confused. Fu Changsheng placed his hand on it, examining it carefully. True to the system's prediction, his fourth sister was on the verge of a breakthrough. His face darkened, and he said solemnly, "Fourth sister, you're clearly close to a breakthrough, so why don't you ask me for access to the spiritual spring well? Our Fu family is in decline now, and having one more high-level key training cultivator means a boost in our foundation. Don't be so foolish in the future, understand? Go to the spiritual spring well to cultivate later, and consolidate your cultivation after a breakthrough before emerging." "Yes, Patriarch." The fourth sister's eyes welled with emotion. His third brother, Fu Changli, was both happy and disappointed. Of the 4 remaining sons of the family, he was the only one who hadn't yet reached the 3rd level of key training. He vowed to redouble his efforts in cultivation. Fu Changsheng gave his eldest brother, Fu Changguan, a few words and announced his departure for Anyang County. After emerging from Lufang Mountain, he donned his invisibility cloak. Anyang County was under the jurisdiction of the Li family. If you were to show up rashly and be discovered by the Li family, there was no telling what evil intentions they might harbor. Therefore, caution was the best course of action. He had no magic power restoring elixirs or herbs on him. He hadn't used his magic power along the way, stopping and starting frequently. After 2 days and 1 night, he finally reached Anyang County. Wanho Tower, the only 3-story building in the county, was easily visible. Fu Changsheng leaped through the corner gate. The guard, Turtle Guang, was cracking melon seeds when Fu Changsheng approached, holding a knife to his neck and coldly demanding, "Tell me, which room is your Miss Mullen in?" Turtle Guang looked around but couldn't see a single person. He thought he had seen a ghost. The next moment, he defecated and pissed all over his pants pocket. He said with chattering teeth, "My dear ghost brother, Miss Mullen lost her virginity at the auction of Mr. Li and has now been sent to the bridal chamber in the Xiang garden in the backyard. I just peeked at her." The old man was about to say something, but he felt a flash before his eyes and fell straight down. Chapter 10, Returning to One's Origin, 3 important pieces of information. Fu Changsheng dragged the old man to the gatehouse, closed the door, identified the direction, walked through the long corridor, and soon arrived at the backyard. There were more than a dozen courtyards of various sizes in the backyard. Each courtyard was guarded by a burly guard. Fu Changsheng glanced around and walked towards the courtyard on the southwest side with red lanterns. When he got closer, he saw the plaque on the moon gate that read Xiang garden. He touched the ground with his toes and jumped directly from the wall. There were 2 more guards guarding the main door, and there was a sound of banging from inside. Fu Changsheng flicked his index finger. In an instant, 2 streams of true energy landed on the guards' coma points with lightning speed. The 2 men collapsed and fell. He kicked the door open, but the scene before him stunned him. He saw a fat, shirtless man lying on the ground covered in blood. A red hairpin with a phoenix pattern was stuck in his neck, and blood was gurgling out of his neck. Huddled in the corner, Mullen heard the door open and looked up suddenly. She saw Fu Changsheng, thinking he was one of Wanho Tower's thugs. His eyes were panicked yet tinged with determination, yet he stood tall and straight. "Although I was born in the tower, I never sold myself to you. I was acting in self-defense. Even if I were to confront the county magistrate, I wouldn't be afraid." The woman's clothes were disheveled, yet she possessed a natural air of heroism. Fu Changsheng smiled faintly. As expected of a future nascent soul cultivator, he dared to kill before even beginning his cultivation. He stepped forward, raised his right foot, and slammed the phoenix-seeking phoenix hairpin deep into the man's neck, instantly suffocating the struggling man. Puzzlement flashed in Mullen's eyes. Fu Changsheng waved his sleeve, and a scroll slowly unfurled. The woman saw the portrait on the scroll and shuddered. Before her mother died, she had given her a scroll, telling her that the man depicted was her father, though her mother hadn't known his surname or origin. She had looked at this portrait countless times at night. It was exactly the same as what was before her. Upon seeing this, Fu Changsheng explained his origins and identity. Mullen's eyes were filled with surprise and joy, but upon learning that her biological father was dead, a hint of grief darkened. Fu Changsheng said, "I've come here specifically to take you back to your clan, to recognize your roots. If you have a talent for cultivation, you can practice with us. Are you willing?" Mullen was stunned. The Fu family was one of the 5 great key cultivating families. Though they had fallen on hard times, they were still far superior to the larger clans of the world. Children born to prostitutes like them were generally not allowed to be included in the family tree. Yet, Not only did they allow her to recognize her roots, but they also offered her the opportunity to practice the techniques of immortal cultivation. A wave of warmth suddenly flowed through her cold heart. She immediately stood up and bowed deeply to Fu Changsheng. "My cousin, Molan, greets the head of the family." Fu Changsheng nodded slightly. She said from the bottom of her heart, "You are the only blood left by my 10th uncle. From now on, I will protect you in everything. I promise that nothing like today will happen again." Fu Molan, who had grown up in the lowly brothel, was the first to hear such heartwarming words. She was deeply moved, and her eyes welled up. At that moment, a familiar voice suddenly echoed in Fu Changsheng's mind. "Ling, you have found a rare cultivation prodigy for the family, a rare talent once seen in a millennium. You have successfully earned Fu Molan's approval and received 30 family contribution points." The next moment, the family contribution point count soared to 60. Fu Changsheng was both surprised and delighted. Previously, when his eldest brother, third brother, and fourth sister had recognized him as the head of the family, the three of them had only 10 contribution points combined. But now, Molan had 30, worthy of being a future nascent soul cultivator. A yellow light surged across the panel, and the random lottery button lit up. Even if he entered the lottery once, he would still have 10 contribution points left, enough to redeem 5 pieces of intelligence. This trip was truly worth it. He resisted the urge to draw the lottery immediately and said to Fu Molan, "We can't stay here for long. Let's go." As he spoke, Fu Changsheng draped the invisibility cloak over Molan and led her out from the back wall. They quickly left one ho tower and went out of town. When they reached a fork in the road, Fu Molan stopped, bowed to Fu Changsheng, and said, "Master, can you kill 2 more people for me?" Fu Molan lowered her head. But the hatred in his eyes could not be suppressed no matter how hard he tried. "Head of the family, although my mother was a prostitute in one ho tower, she was selling her art but not her body, until she met my father. Although my father only stayed for 1 night, he left 1,000 taels of silver. After my mother redeemed herself and returned home, my aunt treated her carefully at first. Later, seeing that my mother was easy to manipulate, she and my uncle directly tricked her out of all the silver she had earned after redemption, and sold my mother back to one ho tower. Since then, my mother began to be depressed. If it weren't for raising me, she would have committed suicide long ago. When my mother was seriously ill, she needed ginseng to prolong her life. I specially sent someone to my uncle's house to ask them to lend me 50 taels of ginseng for the sake of the 1,000 taels of silver. But when my uncle and his wife heard about my mother's situation, not only did they refuse to lend me the money, they also asked the elders to remove my mother from the family tree. If it weren't for them, my mother wouldn't have passed away so early, and we wouldn't have had to walk on thin ice for the past 10 years. Fu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly at this. He had always been protective of his own people, and after listening to Molan's story, he immediately said, "Molan, point me in the direction. Where does your ruthless uncle live?" "Luojia village, west of the city." Fu Molan's voice trembled with excitement. Fu Changsheng nodded. A trip to and from Luojia village would take Fu Molan a long day, and since it was within the Li family's territory, he didn't want to risk any further delays. So he took Fu Molan to Kiuli Mountain, just outside the city. After settling her down, he said, "I'll be back soon. Remember, no matter who comes, don't leave the cave. Understand?" Fu Molan nodded quickly. At the same time, he warned, "That bastard Luo Kunming is now the richest man in Luojia village. He has at least dozens of guards at home. Master, be careful." "Don't worry." Fu Changsheng descended from Kiuli Mountain and thought for a moment. His mind landed on the panel in his sea of consciousness, and he said, "Exchange information." The panel hummed. A yellow light surged. Then, lines of text emerged. 1. The soil beneath the silver star tree on Kuli Mountain is mixed with strands of 3-colored soil. Using it to cultivate spiritual fields will produce unexpected results. 2. Your family's 50 acres of spiritual fields will be infested with a species of blood spirit insects within 2 months, and any red marrow rice seedlings that grow will be contaminated and devoured. 3. Luo Kunming of Luojia village found a piece of warm sun jade in the antique street. Carrying this jade pendant with you will greatly enhance cultivation for low-level key training cultivators. 4. Chapter 11, Treasure Hunt, Spiritual Field Crisis. Of the 3 pieces of information, 2 concerned spiritual fields, but he had no recollection of the Kuli Mountain mentioned in the information. He would have to ask his eldest brother and the others when he got back. As for the blood spirit insects, there were still 2 months left. Before then, he should find time to go to Baikoudang in the market to consult. He should be able to find a solution. When his eyes fell on the third piece of information, Fu Changsheng's eyes lit up. He had originally thought that 4 months was too short, fearing he wouldn't be able to break through to the middle stage of key training and then kill Li Changte. He had never imagined that someone would bring him a pillow just as he was dozing off. This warm sun jade arrived just in time. As for Luo Kunming, he had originally intended to eliminate him from Olin, and this was a good opportunity to deal with him. He quickened his pace towards Luojia village. Luo Kunming's residence was located in the center of the village, a large courtyard with 3 entrances, guarded from front to back. Fu Changsheng, donning his invisibility cloak, swaggered into the Luo residence. After eavesdropping among the servants, he learned that Luo Kunming and his wife lived in Muayan Hall, the second entrance. Arriving at the main room of Muayan Hall, a sudden bang sounded from inside, and a middle-aged man's voice rang out, "This Wonho Tower is in chaos. That girl Molin belongs to our Luo family. Why did they sell her to Mr. Li? Damn it. I was thinking of keeping her at Wonho Tower so she could find another victim like her mother. Mr. Li is a notorious stingy person. Tease his mother, tell the guards to grab their weapons and go to Wonho Tower to take Molin back. The old man from Changli County died young, and he wants a virgin daughter to be buried with him. He's offering 300 taels. We can't let Wonho Tower get away with it, his father. I'll go get them right away." As he spoke, Luo Kunming's wife pushed open the door. As the door opened, she felt a chill on her neck. She saw a scratch mark had appeared on her neck. Before she could react, the head fell off. Luo Kunming turned around and saw the scene. He shuddered with fear. He urinated and defecated all over his pants. Just as he was about to call for help, a dagger silently poked at his neck. A voice, like one from hell, echoed behind him, "If you don't want to die, take out the jade pendant from the antique street. Great hero, I don't want to die, I don't want to die." The jade pendant, the jade pendant. "It's right under my pillow." Fu Changsheng waved his sleeve. He lifted the pillow on the bed and, sure enough, he saw a square jade pendant. It was emerald green, exuding an ancient aura. He formed a seal with his right hand, and the pendant instantly floated up, landing in his palm. After carefully examining it, he realized it was indeed the legendary warm sun jade. With a flick of the dagger, Luo Kunming's head instantly separated. After picking up the 2 heads, Fu Changsheng lit pillars of fire throughout the Luo mansion. By the time he left Luojia village, carrying the 2 bloody heads, the once prosperous Luo mansion was completely engulfed in flames. In the stone cave of Kiuli Mountain, when Fu Molin saw the heads of Luo Kunming and his wife, she prostrated herself in the direction of Wonho Tower, muttering, "Mother, you may rest in peace in the depths of the netherworld." After walking for several days, they finally returned to the family's homeland at Luofang Mountain. Upon hearing that Molin was the descendant of their 10th uncle, the eldest and 3rd brother sighed in regret. Fu Changsheng said to his 3rd brother, "Fu Changli, 3rd brother, our spirit testing platform is destroyed, so there's no way to know if Molin has any spiritual roots. You should teach her how to draw ki into her body." "Yes, Patriarch." The 3rd brother, Fu Changli, was delighted to be able to help. As this was his first time teaching, he immediately pulled Molin aside and began to demonstrate. Fu Changsheng then asked his eldest brother if he knew about Kili Mountain. He shook his head blankly before mentioning the blood spirit insect. Eldest brother Fu Changren struggled to recall, then said, "I remember 3rd uncle mentioned this in class. I heard that blood spirit insects appeared in our clan's spiritual fields 30 years ago, resulting in the loss of 50 acres of red marrow rice." "Changsheng, why are you bringing this up all of a sudden?" Fu Changsheng didn't answer. Instead, he squatted in the spiritual fields, rummaging through them. After crushing a piece of spiritual soil, he suddenly saw a series of red dots. These were blood spirit insect eggs. Big brother Fu Changren was stunned for a moment, then looked west toward the Li family's residence. "This must be the Li family's doing." 3rd uncle said that her clan expended considerable manpower and resources to completely eradicate the blood spirit insects back then, and there's no chance of blood spirit insect eggs appearing in the spiritual fields again, and, what a coincidence. Shortly before the Fu family's tragedy, rumors of blood spirit insects appearing in the Li family's spiritual fields had spread. Fu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly. The Li family first sent people to ambush and kill the 4 siblings, and then secretly tampered with the spiritual field. They felt that the Fu family had no elders to manage the family, and they had revealed their wolfish ambition to annex their Fu family. Now think about it carefully. Since the southern barbarians were already at the gates of the city, and the Li family was right next door, given the abandoned nature of the southern barbarians, how could they pass by the treasure mountain and remain indifferent? They didn't even intend to attack, robbing the Fu family and running away. I'm afraid they lured the southern barbarians here. Besides the traitor Li Giming, the Li family is also involved. Fu Changsheng was gnashing his teeth in hatred. The Li family's ancestor was at the peak of key training. With his current cultivation level, he couldn't do anything to the Li family. But if he could eliminate Li Changtai and gradually weaken the Li family's strength, it would undoubtedly be the best option. After Fu Changsheng made up his mind, his desire to ambush and kill Li Changtai 4 months later became even stronger. The eldest brother gazed eagerly at the tender red marrow rice seedlings sprouting in the spiritual field, his face pale. Master, to completely eradicate the blood spirit insects, we have to clear all this oil from the 50 acres of spiritual field before they hatch. The field will remain empty for a year, and planting can resume the year after next. In other words, they would earn no income from the spiritual field for 3 years. Even so, they still had to pay the tribute of half an ounce of red marrow rice to the Shangguan family. Fu Changsheng took a deep breath. Brother, don't panic. It will take another 2 months for the blood spirit insects to hatch. Let's work together and we'll definitely be able to overcome this. The eldest brother, Fu Changren, however, looked ashen. If there had been a way, the Fu family wouldn't have completely dug up the spiritual soil from the spiritual field back then. Moreover, 30 years had passed. When the blood spirit insects appeared again in the Li family's spiritual field, they had dealt with them in the same way, indicating that they hadn't found a better solution. Fu Changsheng quickly returned to his secret room. His only recourse was the intelligence system. There were still 54 family contribution points on the dashboard, good for a lottery draw to redeem 2 pieces of information. He decided to take a gamble, redeem the lottery draw. Judging from the intelligence the system had provided previously, the situation was clearly revolving around their family. The blood spirit insects were a major threat. If his guess was correct, then the supplies provided by the system should be able to help resolve the blood spirit insect problem. Chapter 12, Crisis Resolved. 3 good things happen. Buzz! A strong yellow light erupted from the panel. As his family contribution points dropped to 4, a white box with a dragon pattern suddenly appeared from his sleeve. The box looked small, but a squeaking sound emanated from within. This time, the contents were actually alive. Curious and expectant, Fu Changsheng opened the box. Chirp, chirp, inside, 2 chicks the size of a child's fist appeared. Unlike other chicks, they had a fiery red comb on their heads. What are these? Fu Changsheng frowned. He caught the chicks in his hands. After listening to the system's instructions, he took a closer look. He saw that the chicks harbored demonic energy. Despite their small size, they were indeed at the early stage of the first stage. He examined both chicks and found that they were both male, meaning they could neither reproduce nor lay eggs. Could this fire cloud chicken really be able to cure the blood spirit worm, as the system claims? Fu Changsheng hesitated. He brought them from the secret room to the spiritual field. Chirp, chirp, the fire cloud chicken, which had been somewhat listless, arrived at the spiritual field, but instantly perked up. It leaped from Fu Changsheng's hands and began pecking at the blood spirit worm eggs in the field with its head tilted noddingly. Fu Changsheng was stunned for a moment upon seeing this. Then he couldn't help but laugh. There were 3 reasons for this. The first, of course, was that the crisis in the spiritual field had been resolved. The second was that the fire cloud chicken's appearance had confirmed his suspicions. The third, and most important, was that he had discovered a path to wealth. He could hang a sign in the market, specializing in curing blood spirit worms in spiritual fields. Upon hearing the commotion, his eldest brother, Fu Changren, walked over to the spiritual field and saw the fire cloud chicken rapidly pecking at the blood spirit worm eggs. He was ecstatic for a moment. Only then did he come to his senses. No wonder the Patriarch had brought this up so suddenly. It turned out he had already discovered the blood spirit worm problem in the spiritual field and had been going in and out of Luofang Mountain recently, presumably because he had found a solution and was bringing it up with him. Such thoughtfulness and care. Fu Changren, a 9-foot-tall man, was so moved that his eyes welled up. Fu Changsheng blinked, confused. Upon asking, He learned the whole story and instantly felt happy. This saved him the trouble of making up excuses. Within a few days, the fire cloud chicken had devoured all the blood spirit insect eggs in the 50-acre spiritual farm. At the same time, that familiar voice echoed in Fu Changsheng's mind again. Ling, you have resolved the crisis for the 50-acre spiritual farm for the family. You have earned 12 contribution points. A satisfied smile crossed Fu Changsheng's face. The family contribution value on the dashboard also increased from 4 to 16, meaning he could redeem 8 pieces of intelligence. It's time to retreat and cultivate. His fourth sister had also just broken through to the 3rd level of key training and emerged. He had to hurry and cultivate. Otherwise, when the 4 months were up, he would still be at the 3rd level, making it somewhat dangerous to face Li Changte, who is in the middle stage of key training, despite the intelligence mentioning that he was seriously injured. Entering the spiritual spring well, Fu Changsheng placed the warm sun jade on his knees. As he practiced his technique, wisps of red spiritual energy rose from the spiritual spring well, swirling around him. With each breath, the spiritual energy was absorbed into his body and began to circulate along the 2 bridges of heaven and earth. In cultivation, time passes in the blink of an eye. 4 months passed in a flash. In the secret room, Fu Changsheng's eyes suddenly opened. With a flick of his index finger, a wind blade whizzed across the stone wall. With a clang, a foot-thick scar was left on the stone wall. Not bad, an instantaneous release. After practicing for nearly a month, I finally achieved a minor mastery of the wind blade technique. After 3 months of seclusion in the spiritual spring well, with the presence of the warm sun jade, he successfully broke through to the 4th level of key training, entering the middle stage. He had originally planned to press on, but he discovered that after reaching the middle stage, the spiritual energy required to break through to the 5th level was twice as much as the previous 3 levels combined. At his current rate of cultivation, without taking spiritual elixirs, it would likely take 2 years. The deadline for killing Li Changte was approaching, and continuing to cultivate was of little value to his strength. So he began to concentrate on practicing the 1st level, mid-grade wind blade technique. It's time to come out. He had been in seclusion for 4 months. He didn't know if the Molan he had brought back had absorbed his ki. He pushed open the door to the secret chamber. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The small green snake clinging to the stone door barked at Fu Changsheng. Since purchasing it from the spiritual pet shop, the small green snake had been mostly dormant due to injuries. Now, more than 4 months later, the injuries seemed to have healed considerably. Zhaoqing, come with me to Limeng Mountain. Based on current observations, although the small green snake contained the bloodline of a dragon, it might not have awakened yet. It was just an ordinary, early-stage 1st level snake. A trip into the mountains might hopefully awaken its bloodline. Emerge from the secret chamber. A vibrant green field of red marrow rice appeared before him. 4 months later, the rice had grown to human height. Fu Changli, the 3rd brother, was weeding in the fields. Seeing Fu Changsheng emerge from retreat, he immediately ran over with joy. Master, he had come to announce the good news. 2 months prior, he had successfully reached the 3rd level of key training. But his gaze flickered to Fu Changsheng, and he paused for a moment before quickly congratulating him. Congratulations, Master, on reaching the middle stage of key training. The 4th sister, weeding in another field, heard the noise and hurried over to join in the congratulations. Fu Changsheng, however, didn't see his eldest brother, Fu Changren. Fu Changli, the 3rd brother, quickly explained, the Kui family came for help 5 days ago, saying blood spirit insects had appeared in their spiritual fields. My eldest brother, with his fire cloud chicken, went to exterminate them. He expects to be back today. Before his retreat, Fu Changsheng had given his eldest brother his invisibility cloak. He was told to drape the fire cloud chicken with the invisibility cloak. If anyone wanted them to go exterminate the insects, the prerequisite was that no one else be left in the spiritual field. After the others left, the fire cloud chicken could be taken out of the invisibility cloak. The 4th sister smiled and said, including the Kui family's trip, Big Brother has helped others exterminate insects 4 times in the past 4 months. Each time, the reward varies depending on the size of the spiritual field. Including the Kui families, he's already earned 130 spirit stones. As she spoke, the 4th sister pulled a box from her sleeve. She opened it, revealing 130 neatly stacked spirit stones. Headmaster, here you go. Fu Changsheng accepted them without hesitation. He planned to use the spirit stones to purchase the talisman pen, talisman paper, and talisman blood at the market. If any of the 5 of them could successfully craft a talisman, it would also be a source of income. However, before going to the market, he had to go to Limang Mountain. Fu Changsheng glanced around the spiritual field but saw no sign of Molan. Seeing this, the third brother, Fu Changren, his chief master, puffed out his round belly and took credit for it. Master, Molan only took 15 days to draw ki into his body. He didn't practice in the spiritual spring well, but it took less than 3 months to break through to the second level of ki training. He is now in seclusion to consolidate his cultivation. Molan's rapid progress in cultivation did not surprise Fu Changsheng. After all, she was a genius who broke through to the nascent soul stage in just 200 years. The eldest brother had not returned. He did not have an invisibility cloak, which undoubtedly meant he was missing a trump card to ambush Li Changte. So Fu Changsheng waited at home for a day. Taking advantage of his free time, his eyes fell on the panel and a thought came to his mind: exchange for daily information. Chapter 13, Ambush the Enemy, Green Snake Mutates. He now had 16 clan contribution points, enough to redeem 8 pieces of intelligence. The thought had barely left his mind when a yellow light surged across the panel. Lines of text appeared. 1. My third brother, Fu Changli, has always dreamed of becoming an excellent winemaker. 3 years ago, he devised a recipe, but fearing the waste of red marrow rice, he hesitated to ask for some spiritual rice to experiment with. 10 years later, the clan had become wealthy, and with this recipe, he successfully brewed a first-grade, low-grade spiritual wine. My third brother actually had a talent for winemaking. This was beyond Fu Changsheng's expectations. In his eyes, my third brother was just a greedy brat, yet he'd actually been working on a recipe 3 years ago. This kid had kept it a secret for so long. Moreover, if it weren't for the intelligence system's information, that spiritual wine recipe would have remained untold for another 10 years. The red marrow rice has already begun to rear. It should be ripe around my third brother's birthday, so I can give him a little surprise. Fu Changsheng continued reading. 3 days later, Li Wente purchased a talisman pen from a stall in the Nanyang market. Although the pen was broken, it was crafted by an ancient cultivator. It had unexpected effects when used to create talismans. Li Wente was the grandson of the Li family's ancestor. His parents died young, and he had been protected by the ancestor since childhood. Furthermore, the ancestor was the only cultivator in the family to reach the peak of ki training, so the clan dared not provoke him. Over time, he developed a lawless temper, instantly going mad if he didn't meet his whims. It was said that his servants were constantly replaced, either dead or disabled. Fu Changsheng, however, was not afraid. After all, he had gone to Limang Mountain to purchase the talisman pen at the market. If he could snatch it before the other party, that would be ideal. The next 2 pieces of information were both insignificant. Fu Changsheng immediately stopped the exchange. He only had 8 family contribution points left on his dashboard, enough to redeem 4 pieces of information. By evening, Fu Changren had just returned from the Kui family. After 4 months of absence, Fire Cloud Chicken's cultivation had improved significantly, reaching the middle stage of the first level. Seeing that his elder brother, Fu Changsheng, was still stuck at the 3rd level of ki training, he realized that tending to the spiritual fields had delayed his cultivation. He quickly said, "Brother, you've been stuck at the 3rd level for 2 years. There's nothing heavy to do in the spiritual fields now. Go to the spiritual spring well for a while and retreat until you reach the middle stage of ki training." Thank you, Patriarch. Fu Changren, his elder brother, had also felt on the verge of a breakthrough and didn't refuse. After his elder brother left, Fu Changsheng muttered to himself, "It seems I need to find a way to cultivate my spiritual vein." Currently, the Luofang Mountain spiritual vein, in addition to supplying spiritual energy to the 50 acres of spiritual fields, only had one spiritual spring well. The spiritual energy provided by the spiritual spring well was purer, making cultivation more efficient. If the spiritual vein could be upgraded, they could open several more wells. This way, they wouldn't have to take turns using it, which was so awkward. Furthermore, to be canonized as a 9th-rank aristocratic family by the imperial court, in addition to accumulating meritorious service, the clan must possess a 2nd-rank spiritual vein and, of course, at least 2 foundation establishment cultivators. With the intelligence system in place, Fu Changsheng was naturally not satisfied with his family's status as a low-rank key cultivation family. With the system's assistance, he believed that within 20 years, his clan would produce 2 foundation establishment cultivators. One would be an, and the other the exceptionally gifted Molan. However, both improving their own cultivation and cultivating their spiritual veins required vast quantities of spirit stones. After ensuring the family's basic needs, the 5 of them next had to consider how to increase their income. Talisman crafting was an obvious solution. Fu Changsheng's determination to obtain the talisman pen that Li Wente had set his sights on in the market only intensified. The next morning, at daybreak, he donned his invisibility cloak and set out. Limang Mountain was across the Changliu River. After a ferry ride, they passed through a 100-acre plum forest and arrived at the foot of Limang Mountain. Beyond Limang Mountain lay the eastern wilderness. Not only were ferocious beasts lurking in the eastern wasteland, but further afield lay the tribes of the southern barbarians. Therefore, for low-level key cultivators like them, the eastern wasteland was a forbidden area. Intelligence indicated that Li Changte had appeared in the Blue Wolf Demon's lair. However, this was his first time in Limang Mountain, and his location was completely unclear. However, he had waited 4 months for this day, so he was naturally prepared. He pulled a sealed box from his sleeve. Upon opening it, a rich aroma of phantom jade bee honey wafted through the wind. For the Blue Wolf Demon, this honey held a fatal allure. Fu Changsheng chose a kinkang tree and climbed it. Sure enough, after a short while, he saw Blue Wolf Demon, all green except for its eyes, appear before him. Its abdomen was swollen, as if it were pregnant. It lowered its head to sniff the phantom jade bee, glanced around, and, after sniffing the box, immediately turned and disappeared into the woods. Fu Changsheng, clinging to the kinkang tree like a clever monkey, followed from a distance. About half a cup of tea later, the running green wolf demon suddenly raised its head and let out an angry wolf howl. It spread its hooves and charged into the cave like a cannonball. Bang, bang, bang. The next moment, the cave erupted in the sounds of fierce fighting. Hidden in the tree's canopy, Fu Changsheng narrowed his eyes slightly. It seemed Li Changte had arrived earlier than him. He might have been lurking around the green wolf demon's cave last night, waiting for the demon to leave so he could steal the soul-enriching grass from its lair. Fu Changsheng's quick eyes saw that the time was almost up. He tapped a few branches of the kinkang tree with his toes and landed on the ground in a few flashes. Simultaneously, he formed a seal with his right hand, and a wind blade swirled in his palm, ready to be unleashed. Boom! Inside the cave, the wall collapsed. The green wolf demon ran out, chasing the blood-soaked Li Changte. The green wolf demon's mouth gaped in anger, a surge of green light. Suddenly, a green vine erupted from Li Changte's feet, wrapping around him like a swift snake. Li Changte narrowed his eyes, and with a flick of his wrist, an ice blade talisman instantly shot out towards the incoming green wolf demon. Explode! With a cold smile, Li Changte let out a cold sneer. Ice blades burst from the talisman, whizzing towards the green wolf demon. The unprepared green wolf demon let out a wolf's howl. To protect its unborn child, it nimbly turned its back, facing the incoming ice blades. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 10 ice blades pierced through its skin and pierced into the green wolf demon's body, instantly transforming it into an ice sculpture. Li Changte was also in pain. He was only at the 5th level of key training. Normally, facing a green wolf demon at the late 1st level would be a death sentence. If the green wolf demon hadn't been pregnant, he wouldn't have been able to seriously injure it. We can't stay here any longer, Li Changte fought back the bloody taste that was already rising to his throat. He didn't even want the green wolf demon's corpse, so he turned and was about to leave. Suddenly, he felt a chill on his neck. He looked down and saw a wind blade as fast as lightning pass through his neck. This wind blade appeared at the exact moment he had defeated the green wolf demon, and his mind was relaxed. Chapter 14 A Mineral Vein. Boom. A perfectly healthy head tumbled to the ground. Li Changte never realized who had struck him down. Hidden behind the kinkang tree, Fu Changsheng maintained a remarkably calm expression. A mantis stalks a cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. He didn't want to be the second target of an assassination attempt. So, the moment Li Changte fell, he flicked his sleeve, and the white box with plum blossom patterns in Li Changte's arms levitated. He opened it and found a ripe, first-grade, mid-grade soul-enriching herb. At that moment, he caught a glimpse of a rune engraved on Li Changte's exposed chest, but he didn't bother to examine it, running away. The small green snake huddled in his sleeve suddenly flashed out. "Zhaoking, come back." Before he could finish his words, Zhaoking's mouth opened wide, and wisps of green light lingered on Li Changte's body. In a flash of light, Li Changte's body shrank steadily, and with a whoosh, the small green snake swallowed it whole. Another ray of green light fell on the green wolf demon, frozen like an ice sculpture. The ice melted. The green wolf demon was now dead. The green light transformed into a green blade, slicing open the green wolf demon's bulging belly. A baby-sized green wolf demon cub rolled out. However, the cub also seemed to be dead. Fu Changsheng didn't know what the little green snake was going to do, but they had lingered there too long. "Zhaoking, come back soon." The little green snake opened its mouth again and swallowed the green wolf demon's corpse. Gah, it sounded like a burp. After eating, the little green snake lazily jumped up and appeared at the wolf cub's side. Its tongue flickered at the wolf cub's heart. The heart, which had been still, began to beat vigorously again. After this, the little green snake's body flashed with green light. It once again coiled in Fu Changsheng's sleeve. The scene before him stunned Fu Changsheng. The little green snake not only ate people but also monsters. Just now, as its tongue flickered, it seemed as if some mucus had been infused into the wolf cub's body, bringing it back to life. Fu Changsheng hesitated for a moment. Then, with a swift step forward, he scooped the wolf cub into his arms and immediately turned and ran. He remained hidden within his invisibility cloak. Halfway up the mountain, the familiar mechanical voice echoed in his mind again. "Ling, you have successfully killed a family enemy, earning 10 contribution points." Fu Changsheng was delighted. Earning family contribution points was completely unexpected, bringing his family's contribution points to 18. After descending from Limang Mountain, he didn't pause, dashing out of Merlin like a gust of wind. The ferry, without stopping, left the Limang Mountain territory. Less than half a cup of tea after he left, clan leader Li and the Li family patriarch appeared in Limang Mountain together. They arrived at the Green Wolf Demon's Cave. Clan leader Li frowned. "Ancestor, Changte's location symbol disappeared right here." Li Changte had gone into the mountains yesterday and hadn't returned all night. Clan leader Li and ancestor Li were worried, so they rushed here early this morning, fearing something might happen to Li Changte. After all, with Li Changte's cultivation aptitude, he could very well break through to the foundation establishment stage within 20 years, changing the fate of their Li family. Just as they were about to enter the Green Wolf Demon's Cave to investigate, a rapid buzzing sound came from clan leader Li's waist. Then, a terrified voice rang out, "Clan leader, ancestor, this is terrible. Changte's soul lamp has gone out." "What?" Clan leader Li's face paled, and ancestor Li visibly staggered. Changte was the most promising young member of their clan. How could he disappear just after a trip to Limang Mountain? After Fu Changsheng crossed the ferry, he had originally planned to go directly to Nanyang Market. But after glancing at the wolf cub in his arms, whose eyes hadn't yet opened, he turned back to Fu's Lufang Mountain. If he had brought a cub into the market, any member of the Li family would have guessed the cause of Li Changte's death. After a while, Fu Changsheng returned home with a wolf cub. His third brother and fourth sister were astonished. The fourth sister felt heartbroken as the cub's eyes lay still. His third brother, however, showed little interest. Fu Changsheng casually handed the cub to his fourth sister, Fu Changli. "Fourth sister, I'll leave this cub in your care from now on." "Yes, master." The fourth sister happily accepted the cub. Girls have a natural fondness for small animals. Fu Changsheng specifically instructed, "Remember, don't let anyone know that we have a wolf cub in our family. It's best that the cub stay out of sight for the next few years." "Yes, master." Although Fu Changli didn't understand Fu Changsheng's intentions, she nodded obediently. At this moment, a mechanical voice echoed through his mind again, "Ling, you've added a green wolf demon cub to your family, earning 4 family contribution points." "Huh? This also counts as contribution points." Fu Changsheng's lips curled up slightly. With this, his family contribution points reached 22. He planned to save them up and see if he could get another chance to participate in the random draw. He glanced at the sky and saw that the sun had already set. He estimated the time. He thought he would still have time to go to Nanyang Market tomorrow morning. After returning to his room, he replaced the box containing the soul-enriching grass. Looking at the first grade, mid-grade soul herb shrouded in spiritual light, Fu Changsheng felt a little troubled. If he sold the soul herb to Beikeodang, The Li family would probably guess who Li Changtai's murderer was. But no one in his Fu family knew how to make elixirs. He pondered for a moment. Fu Changsheng produced a communication jade talisman, inscribed a spell into it, and whispered, "Mishun, is everything alright? Are you free to come to Nanyang Market tomorrow?" A month ago, Mishun had sent word. She had successfully advanced to the rank of first-class intermediate-grade alchemist. The best way to dispose of the yangang grass was for Mishun to refine it. He waited for a moment, but the communication jade talisman remained silent. Fu Changsheng murmured, "Could it be that Mishun is in seclusion?" After a night of meditation and rest, Fu Changsheng prepared to leave the next morning, just as dawn had broken. Before leaving, he thought for a moment and decided to exchange a piece of information. Just like a fortune-telling session, he decided to go out and exchange it for a piece of information. Buzz! A yellow light surged across the panel. Then, lines of text appeared. In order to thoroughly investigate the cause of Li Changtai's death, the Li family, by chance, discovered a vein of yangang stone in the valley of Limang Mountain 10 days later. Yangang stone. That's first grade. Low grade or adding another piece when forging a flying sword doubles its strength. Even a small one, after mining, would yield at least several thousand low-grade spirit stones. This, Fu Changsheng's mind raced. Given his family's current situation, holding on to a single vein of ore would undoubtedly be impossible. However, he watched helplessly as the Li family swallowed up this vein. He felt a surge of resentment. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15: Obtaining Ancient Treasures. He had two options. One was to join forces with the Liu family to mine this yangang stone vein. But the Liu family was clearly ungrateful. If he informed them, he feared his family wouldn't get even a fraction of the proceeds when the distribution came. He flatly rejected this idea. "Looks like I'll have to go to Anyang County." Reporting to the Shangguan family was his second option. As for how much of a dividend the Shangguan family would ultimately give him, that was still unknown. Regardless, it was better than letting the Li and Liu families take it all. As he was leaving, a sudden, rapid buzzing sound came from his waist. Fu Changsheng's face lit up with joy. He cast a spell on the communication jade talisman, and Liu Mishun's voice rang out, "Brother Changsheng, I'm on my way to Nanyang Market. See you later." It had been a long time since they'd seen each other. Even though it was just the sound of her voice, Fu Changsheng was also overjoyed. The thought of seeing the person he'd been thinking about soon quickened his pace, and he arrived at Nanyang Market by mid-afternoon. Arriving at the market, he headed straight for the backstreet stalls. Obtaining the ancient cultivator's talisman pen was paramount. Arriving at the backstreet, a voice hurled curses from the distance. "You old bastard, it's your good fortune that this young master has taken a fancy to your junk. Don't be so rude. If it weren't for this young master's feeling that this talisman pen is meant for me, who would be so gullible as to give you 60 spirit stones, young Master Li? This talisman pen has been passed down through my ancestors for generations. It's been in my possession for the 108th generation. If it weren't for my daughter's urgent need for the barrier-breaking pill for her breakthrough, I would never sell this ancestral treasure. I still say the same thing, 100 spirit stones, not one less. Hey, you old fool, you really aren't selling it, are you?" Liu Kangtao, the vendor, shook his head and snatched the talisman pen from Li Wentei's hand. If it weren't for the fact that the man was the grandson of Grandpa Li, who had reached the peak of key training, he would have chased him away. Just wait, Li Wentei was instantly furious. He had finally found something he liked. This damn old man was still asking for an exorbitant price and wouldn't sell. He immediately planned to have his cousins ambush Liu Kangtao on his way home. Then, he could kill him and get the talisman pen without spending a single spirit stone. Also, he heard Liu Kangtao's granddaughter was quite pretty, so he could abduct her and take her to the Li family as his third concubine. With this thought, Li Wentei's mood suddenly improved. But then, a shrill voice suddenly rang out from behind him, "Fellow Taoist, here are 100 spirit stones. I want the talisman pen." Li Wentei turned abruptly. He saw none other than Fu Changsheng. Without hesitation, Fu Changsheng handed the 100 spirit stones to Liu Kangtao, tucked the talisman pen into his arms, and walked past him as if he hadn't noticed Li Wentei. "Stop right there, Li Wente was furious. Young Master Li had his eye on something, and yet Fu Changsheng, the prodigal son of a bitch, dared to compete with him. I set my eyes on the talisman pen first. Who dare you to steal it? Fu Changsheng kept walking, as if he hadn't heard him speak. Li Wente had never been insulted like this before. His right claw shot out with lightning speed, aiming for Fu Changsheng's shoulder. But Fu Changsheng, as if he had eyes on his back, dodged and dodged, simultaneously striking the advancing Li Wente in the chest with a palm. Puff! Li Wente spat out a mouthful of blood. He staggered, nearly falling. Only then did he realize that Fu Changsheng had actually reached the 4th level of key training. Just a few months ago, he had been at the same level as him, the 2nd. The fight between the two had attracted a law enforcement team from the market. Li Wente immediately complained, "Captain Chen, you must seek justice for me. Fu Changsheng not only stole the treasure I had set my eyes on, but also assaulted me." Fu Changsheng hadn't even spoken yet. Seeing that Fu Changsheng was the same age as his grandson, Liu Kangtao, standing nearby, couldn't help but step forward and bow, saying, "Captain Chen, it was Master Li who first refused the talisman brush, and it was Master Li who first attacked this fellow Taoist. Old man, you're blind. If I had attacked first, I'd have been hit." "Captain Chen, don't listen to this old man." Li Wente slipped a box from his sleeve and handed it to Captain Chen. However, Captain Chen, who usually treated him like a brother, took a step back and waved his hand, saying, "Come here, Li Wente is violating the rules of the market. He must be kicked out immediately and blacklisted. He's not allowed to set foot in the market for 3 years." "Captain Chen, are you kidding me? They'd been drinking together the day before yesterday. How could he suddenly turn against him?" Captain Chen didn't even glance at Li Wente, instead apologizing to Fu Changsheng. "Patriarch Fu, I'm so sorry I'm late and scared you." The crowd pointed and murmured at Li Wente. Fu Changsheng is Shangguan Hongyu's savior, and everyone in Anyang County knows it. Shangguan Feng has even declared that anyone who touches Fu Changsheng from now on will be acting against him. Shangguan Feng is a veteran Foundation establishment cultivator. Li Wente must have been kicked in the head by a donkey, daring to attack Fu Changsheng in public. He must be so used to bullying his way around the Li family that he thinks the Nanyang market belongs to them. Ridiculous. Hearing the chatter all around, Li Wente's face paled. As he was dragged away, his gaze fixed on Fu Changsheng, as if he wanted to devour him alive. "Wait a minute." Then, a gentle voice rang out. Everyone turned to see Shangguan Hongyu emerging from the crowd. Li Wente's face instantly turned pale. He had never expected Shangguan Hongyu to appear in Nanyang market. Shangguan Hongyu said to Fu Changsheng, "Fellow Taoist Fu, did he just attack you with his right hand?" Fu Changsheng nodded, confused. Shangguan Hongyu swung her sword, and a flash of swordlight shot out from her fingertips, sweeping past Li Wente's right arm with lightning speed. The next moment, Li Wente let out a scream as his right arm was severed and fell to the ground. Shangguan Hongyu said coldly, "When Nanyang market was first established, my great-grandfather established a rule that no one could attack another in the market. I hope this arm will serve as a reminder of today's lesson." No one dared to say a word. Captain Chen feared Li Wente might say something that would offend the Shangguan family and implicate him, so he quickly stepped forward and struck him on the neck, knocking him unconscious. He then personally dragged him out of the market. Watching Li Wente being dragged away, Fu Changsheng sighed. This has gotten out of hand. This only deepened the Li family's hatred for the Fu family. However, the two families were already sworn enemies. Shangguan Hongyu's personal support today would also discourage nearby scoundrels who might want to take advantage of the Fu family. Chapter 16, Amazing Talent in Talisman Making. "Thank you, fellow Taoist Shangguan, for your help." Fu Changsheng stepped forward and bowed. He had originally planned to go to Anyang County after arriving at the market. If he ran into Shangguan Hongyu, the matter would be more easily resolved. He immediately said, "Fellow Taoist Shangguan, may I have a word with you?" "Okay." Shangguan Hongyu was just passing by. She had a mission to complete. However, Fu Changsheng had saved her life, so it was difficult to refuse. The two of them went to the tea house's private room. Although the room had an anti-spying shielding magic circle, Fu Changsheng was still worried. He took out a pen and paper and quickly wrote a line on it. Shangguan Hongyu saw it. Her beautiful eyes blinked. "Fellow Taoist Fu, what do you mean?" Fu Changsheng smiled bitterly and said, Fellow Taoist Shangguan, you saw what happened just now. The Li family cultivators don't take my Fu family seriously at all. And this mineral vein is located at the border of the Fu and Li families. Once we mine it, the Li family will find it and will definitely find a reason to seize it. So Shangguan Hongyu raised her hand to interrupt Fu Changsheng from continuing. Our Shangguan family is not so poor as to embezzle a first-grade, low-grade mineral vein from an affiliated faction. Go back and prepare the manpower and materials for mining the mineral vein. Notify me in advance of the mining day. I will be on site to support you. Even the most daring Li family will not dare to touch this mineral vein again. Fu Changsheng was stunned. He had expected the Shangguan family to take at least 70% to 80%, but he didn't expect them to take anything. He was grateful. He stood up and bowed to express his gratitude. Silently remembering this favor, he decided to hand over the reward to Shangguan Hongyu after the mine was mined. Favors flow. Give and take is the key to long-term success. Shangguan Hongyu told Fu Changsheng not to be so polite. She pulled a jade talisman from her sleeve and handed it to him. This is the mother-child communication jade talisman. It can be used within 1,000 miles. Let me know when you're ready. By the way, if you encounter any difficulties in the future, feel free to let me know. I'll definitely help if I can. With that, she stood up to leave, apparently in a hurry. Fu Changsheng took the talisman with both hands. For their current Fu family, it was undoubtedly a life-saving talisman. Seeing Shangguan Hongyu already at the door, she hurriedly asked, Fellow Taoist Shangguan, do you know where Kili Mountain is located? Kili Mountain? Shangguan Hongyu shook her head in confusion. Then, I'll go back to the clan sutra library and check for you. I'll send you a message when I find it. After Shangguan Hongyu left, Fu Changsheng sat for a while. Then, a graceful figure in green walked in. Seeing it was Mizhan, Fu Changsheng's eyes lit up. Mizhan, when did you arrive? I just arrived at the market gate when Li Wente was kicked out. Liu Mizhan had been refining pills for years, and her body exuded a pleasant aroma. After the two sat down, Liu Mizhan's eyes fell on Fu Changsheng. Seeing that he had broken through to the 4th level of key training, she smiled, feeling that her perseverance in the Liu family was worth it. After the two chatted for a while, Fu Changsheng pulled out a white box with tiger patterns from his sleeve. He opened the box. Liu Mizhan's eyes lit up when he saw it was yanlang grass. Fu Changsheng said, Mizhan, can you help me refine a furnace of yanlang pills? Once the pills are finished, you'll get 70% and I'll get 30%. Back then, you emptied your family's savings to give them to me, and I still haven't given you a gift in return. Liu Mizhan smiled and accepted the yanlang grass. She glared at Fu Changsheng and said, You and I are family, what's with all this talk about profit sharing? Don't you dare say such unorthodox things to me again. The two chatted for a while. The Liu family soon sent someone to urge them to leave. Liu Mizhan had come down the mountain to purchase spiritual herbs, and Fu Changsheng was also going to buy talisman paper, talisman blood, and other supplies. As they left the tea house, Liu Mizhan said, I have a batch of spiritual pills that the clan urgently needs to be refined. Brother Changsheng, your soul-nourishing pill will be ready in about a month. I'll have someone deliver it to Luifang Mountain then. After purchasing the supplies, Fu Changsheng didn't stop, immediately donning his invisibility cloak and leaving the market. The trip went relatively smoothly. He had secured 2 important tasks. After returning to Luifang Mountain, he specifically called his 3rd brother and 4th sister over and instructed them, during this period, even if someone comes, do not open the magic circle. Big brother, please stop exorcising the blood spirit insects. Who knew if Li Wente would go crazy without any care? After returning to his room, Fu Changsheng then took out the half-broken talisman pen and examined it carefully. He saw that the pen holder looked like it was forged from the ribs of some demonic beast. Faint runes flickered within the pen. It is indeed a talisman pen from an ancient cultivator. Fu Changsheng immediately consecrated the talisman pen. He took out the complete explanation of the way of talismans and perused it carefully. While the book claimed to be comprehensive, it actually only contained instructions for the creation of 3 low-grade, first-level talismans, the speeding talisman, the purifying talisman, and the tracking talisman. Kigan cultivators could not fly. The speeding talisman would undoubtedly be extremely useful to him, and it would also sell well in the market. For the next few days, Fu Changsheng devoted himself entirely to studying the speeding talisman. In the secret room, a spell rang out. Fu Changsheng, wielding the brush, retracted the tip of his pen. A flash of yellow light flashed across the talisman on the table. After the light faded, it transformed into a restrained, low-grade, first-grade talisman. Success! Fu Changsheng's face was filled with surprise. This was his first time making one. Just now, he'd clearly felt his writing skills were clumsy, and the talisman was about to combust, but then the pen in his hand flashed with a flash of light, and somehow, his writing posture shifted, allowing the previously failed talisman to be successfully crafted. He stared at the broken pen in his hand. This is truly a treasure. If Liu Kangtao hadn't had a talent for talisman making for over a decade, this pen would never have been his, and he'd only spent 100 spirit stones to buy it. Immediately, he drew 5 or 6 more. The first few had been saved by the pen, but with experience, he could create successful talismans even without it. So, I've truly entered the ranks of talisman makers. Fu Changsheng's lips curled slightly. Even with the aid of the talisman pen, it was clear that he was talented in talisman making. Perhaps he could pursue the path of a talisman master. He suppressed his joy and glanced at the hourglass beside him. Fu Changsheng put away the talisman pen. It's time to mine the yangang stone vein. 6 days ago, he had contacted Shangguan Hongyu. Today was an auspicious day to begin construction. Emerging from the secret room, Fu Changsheng handed the 7 refined speed talismans to his third brother and fourth sister. These are the talismans I made. Observe them carefully. When you successfully draw a speed talisman on the sand table, let me know. I'll go to the market and buy you some talisman pens. The head of the family had actually made a talisman. The third brother and fourth sister were stunned. Then he stood up in surprise and bowed to Fu Changsheng, saying, "Congratulations to the head of the family for being promoted to first-rank lower-grade talisman maker." Without any instruction from elders, he learned by himself and successfully made talismans in just 9 days. This proved that their head of the family had an amazing talent in talisman making. Chapter 17, Mining Yangang Stone, the Third Lottery. Fu Changsheng, descending from Lufang Mountain, was crossing the river at the dock when he happened to see clan leader Li and 2 other clansmen also at the river bank, seemingly waiting for someone. Although intelligence indicated the Li family wouldn't discover the yangang stone vein until tomorrow, Fu Changsheng, fearing the danger of delaying further, sped up after boarding the boat. Clan leader Li, watching Fu Changsheng depart from the dock, turned back and whispered to the clansman behind him, "Shangtai, are you sure you found the yangang stone vein you brought back yesterday in the valley across the way?" Clan leader, "Absolutely. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bothered you to personally investigate." Clan leader Li nodded slightly. Whether it was true or not would soon be clear. But, why was Fu Changsheng crossing the river too? It was a vague feeling. Clan leader Li felt as if something was about to be missed, and he immediately said, "Let's not wait for the ancestor. Let's set off, on the other side." After Fu Changsheng disembarked and saw the Li family also boarding, he immediately cast a speed talisman on himself. Spiritual light surged beneath his feet, and his figure instantly floated up like a leaf. In less than half a cup of tea, he had crossed the 100-acre plum forest, climbed the mountain without stopping, and arrived at the valley. At the top of the valley, Shangguan Hongyu, dressed in red, was looking down at something. Seeing Fu Changsheng approach, she nodded slightly and said, "Fellow Taoist Fu, I've just surveyed this valley and found that it does contain a small vein of first-grade, low-grade yangang stone. If we mine it, we should be able to fetch several thousand low-grade spirit stones. A few thousand low-grade spirit stones might not be much for the Shangguan family, but for the Fu family, it would be a considerable income." Fu Changsheng's face was filled with satisfaction. As the two spoke, clan leader Li also arrived at the valley with a group of clansmen. Seeing Shangguan Hongyu, his pupils shrank. Seeing Fu Changsheng holding a piece of yangang stone in his hand, he faltered, realizing that he was a step too late. Shangguan Hongyu had a negative impression of the Li family because of Li Wente's incident. Her brow furrowed. "This area contains a small vein of yangang stone. Clan leader Fu reported this to me in Nanyang Market 10 days ago. According to the rules, this vein will belong to the Fu family from now on. If I find out that the Li family is behind this time, it won't be as simple as a broken arm. Do you understand?" "Yes, yes, yes," clan leader Li dared not object. He dragged his resentful clansmen down the mountain. After crossing the river, they saw the belated arrival of Patriarch Li. Clan leader Li explained the truth. and Patriarch Li's eyes narrowed slightly. Ever since Fu Changsheng assumed the position of clan leader, the Li family had been plagued by setbacks. First, the ambush attempt on Fu Changsheng in Wutong Forest failed, and the Fu family cleverly resolved the spiritual insect crisis. Then, a talented young man among their clan suddenly died. Even the newly discovered yangang stone vein had been seized upon by the Fu family. Fu Changsheng's shadow played a role in everything. But now Fu Changsheng has the Shangguan family's talisman, and they can't touch it. Patriarch Li gritted his teeth and said, "Send someone to keep a close eye on the Fu family. Report any news immediately to me." In the valley, Shangguan Hongyu extended her hand to Fu Changsheng, saying, "I still have time. Take out the protective array and I'll help you set it up." Fu Changsheng shook his head awkwardly. After a trip to the market to buy talisman pens, talisman paper, and talisman blood, the clan's spirit stones were completely gone. He planned to wait until the red marrow rice matured, sell it, and then go back to the market to purchase a set of arrays. Limang Mountain still harbored many low-level demonic beasts. Those mining the veins were all mortals. Without the protective array, their lives would be in vain. Shangguan Hongyu reconsidered, realizing the Fu family's current predicament. She slapped her storage bag, and in a flash of light, 12 formation flags flew out one after another. As she infused spells into the formation disc, the flags landed in sequence on the 12 positions of the heavenly stems and earthly demons. As the last spell struck the disc, the 12 flags hummed. Balls of white light immediately rose, swirling together. After reaching midair, they crashed down with a thud, forming a white shield. The shield flickered and vanished. The valley before them suddenly transformed into a jungle, shrouded in mist. Shangguan Hongyu handed a formation tablet to Fu Changsheng. "This is the tablet for the Yellow Sands Mist formation. Take it. Although it's only a mid-grade, first-tier formation, its combined offensive and defensive effects are more than enough to defend against late-tier first-tier monsters and below. It's more than enough, fellow Taoist Shangguan. How many spirit stones does this formation cost? I'll return it to you once the ore is mined." He couldn't bring himself to refuse. The Fu family was truly broke right now. They desperately needed this protective formation. It's just a first-tier formation. Compared to your life-saving grace, it's nothing. Fu Changsheng, however, felt the Shangguan family had given him more than enough. After all, the second-tier formation they had at Luofang Mountain also came from the Shangguan family. He felt that now that the Fu family was well off, this favor owed him something. Shangguan Hongyu was pleased to see that Fu Changsheng wasn't fussy. She then said, "I found the Kali mountain you mentioned last time. It's just outside the eastern wasteland. Fellow Taoist Fu, although you're already in the middle stage of key training, the eastern wasteland is infested with demons and monsters. I advise you to at least break through to the late stage before considering it." Kali mountain was actually in the eastern wasteland. Fu Changsheng felt a little disappointed. However, if the Fu family wanted to receive imperial fiefdom in the future, they would have to expand their territory. Anyang County was once on the edge of the eastern wasteland. It was the Shangguan family's ancestors who, through generations of effort, opened up the area, creating the present-day Anyang County. With the imperial aura suppressing Anyang County, the demons and monsters of the eastern wasteland were less likely to invade in large numbers. After sending Shangguan Hongyu down the mountain, Fu Changsheng returned to Luofang Mountain. When he informed his third brother and fourth sister about their yangang stone mine, they were stunned for a long moment before reacting. The fourth sister looked at Fu Changsheng with admiration. "Patriarch, you're truly amazing. You actually discovered a mine." The third brother patted his chest and said, "Patriarch, I'll take care of the mining. Let me stay home and look after the spiritual fields. I promise to complete the task beautifully." The eldest brother was in seclusion. Fu Changsheng couldn't possibly guard the mine all day. The third brother was indeed the best candidate. Fu Changsheng handed the yellow sand and mist array card to the other brother and said, "I've already notified the mayor of Nanyang Town and asked him to select 1,000 strong men from the clan. We estimate they're already waiting at the dock to cross the river. Let's go down the mountain now." "Yes, Patriarch." The third brother had been cooped up in Luofang Mountain for nearly a year. He was overjoyed to be able to leave. The two escorted 1,000 strong tribesmen to the valley. After things were settled and the mine was officially mined, Fu Changsheng retreated from the valley. Before leaving, he specifically instructed his third brother not to leave the Yellow Sands Mist Array without his instructions, no matter what the situation. After coming down from Limang Mountain and returning to the Clan Mountain secret room, the familiar voice in his mind came again. Ding, you discovered a first-level low-grade mine for the family, and received 38 contribution points, adding to the previous one. In other words, he now has 58 family contribution points, which can be used in a lottery to exchange for 4 pieces of intelligence. Fu Changsheng immediately said, exchange for the lottery. Chapter 18, Subjugating the Retainers, the 5th-ranked Demon Queen 300 years later. This was his 3rd lottery draw. The previous 2 had yielded Windblade Technique and Fire Cloud Chicken. Unsure of what he'd win this time, Fu Changsheng gazed at the control panel with anticipation. Then, he saw a surge of yellow light. The family contribution points on the panel suddenly dropped by 50. Then, he felt something slip into his sleeve. He pulled it out and saw a pitch-black box. He opened it, revealing a palm-sized banner. Then, a stream of information streamed into his sea of consciousness. First grade, low-grade 100 Ghost Banner. Upgrade by refining 100-year soul wood within the banner. Upgrade potential is unlimited, 100 Ghost Banner. Fu Changsheng took it in his palm. After refining it, he waved his right hand. A chilling wind blew, and ghosts swept eerily. But now, not a single ghost was within the banner, so it lacked any lethal power. This was his first magical weapon, and Fu Changsheng, still content, placed it in his arms. His gaze fell on the control panel. He now had a few family contribution points left. He immediately said, exchange for information, buzz. A surge of yellow light shone through the panel. Then, lines of text appeared before his eyes. 1. Mr. and Mrs. Fu from Daxi village have been unable to sleep in recent years. Every night they can hear their deceased daughter-in-law crying in their ears. Several times when they get up to urinate, they see the bloodshot face of their daughter-in-law Chu Chan. The 2 are tortured to the point of being worse than death, but they do not ask their family for help, as if they are hiding a secret. The female ghost Chu Chan is the 5th-level ghost queen from 300 years later, 5th-level ghost queen. That is equivalent to the nascent soul cultivation level. Fu Changsheng's eyes lit up. His 100 Ghost Banner is just in time for this. He must subdue the person before anyone else does. When he saw the second piece of information, his brows furrowed. 2. Li Wente blamed Liu Kangtao for the cause of his broken arm. Without telling his clan members, he hired a robber cultivator for a large sum of money. The 2 first went on a killing spree at the Liu family. Liu Kangtao protected his daughter all the way south and would pass Changli River in half an hour. Li Wente, this beast, is really a piece of shit. Fu Changsheng recalled how Liu Kangtao had come forward to clear his name in the market. After a moment's hesitation, he decided to head to Changli River. If he could save him, he would. If not, there was nothing he could do. He immediately pushed open the door and left. He donned his invisibility cloak, affixed a speeding talisman, and sped down from Lufang Mountain at breakneck speed, reaching Changli River in less than half an hour. As he stood still, he saw an old man and a young boy running towards him from the south. He looked closely. The blood-soaked old man was none other than Liu Kangtao from the market. Fellow Taoist Liu, Fu Changsheng removed his invisibility cloak. Liu Kangtao turned and saw Fu Changsheng. He was stunned for a moment, then a glimmer of hope flashed in his eyes. Seizing his daughter Liu Runzi's momentary defense, he struck her unconscious with a palm strike. He then clasped his fists towards Fu Changsheng and said, fellow Taoist Fu, please take my daughter away. I will forever remember your great kindness. Liu Kangtao pushed his daughter Liu Runzi to Fu Changsheng's side and anxiously said, hurry. That beastly Wente is accompanied by a 9th-level key training cultivator. They'll be arriving soon. I'll hold them off. You all should leave. Hurry, 9th-level key training. And a cultivator who's after wealth over life? Fu Changsheng's heart trembled. He immediately draped his invisibility cloak over himself and Liu Runzi. Without stopping for a moment, he slapped several haste talismans on his body and, without looking back, rushed back to the clan mountain. Shortly after, he heard the sounds of fierce fighting behind him. He activated the last of his talismans, and after reaching the clan mountain and deactivating the magic circle, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. With his current level of cultivation, facing a 9th-level key training cultivator with extensive combat experience was a sure death. The 4th sister was feeding the wolf cub when she saw Fu Changsheng return, bringing a beautiful female cultivator with him. She couldn't help but exclaim in surprise, Master, what's going on? Fu Changsheng explained the situation. The fourth sister, Fu Changli, immediately blushed. That Li Wente is worse than an animal, and Sister Runzi is so pitiful. Thinking of her own family's near extermination, she couldn't help but feel even more sympathetic towards Liu Runzi. After a while, Liu Runzi awoke with a whimper. After a wary glance around, something occurred to him, and he immediately said, "Fellow Taoist Fu, where's my father? Where's my father?" Liu Kangtao was already seriously injured, and facing a key training 9th level cultivator, there was no chance of survival. Fu Changsheng sighed, "Miss Liu, my condolences." Liu Runzi's body slumped, and she collapsed in Fu Changli's arms, her eyes dull. Fu Changsheng pondered for a moment, then spoke, "Miss Liu, the dead cannot be resurrected. What matters most is that you are still alive. Living makes everything possible. If you want your father, brothers, and others to rest in peace, then become powerful. 10 years of ups and downs, 10 years of ups and downs, and one day, you will be able to kill your enemies with your own hands." Liu Runzi's cultivation level was not low, already at the 4th level of key training. For someone from a family of independent cultivators to reach this level at such a young age, it showed considerable talent. Fu Changli, the fourth sister, also offered counseling. A long while passed. Liu Runzi stood up and bowed deeply to Fu Changsheng. "Fellow Taoist Fu, if it weren't for you, I would definitely be dead by now. I shouldn't ask for anything for saving my life, but I beg you, if you ever become more powerful than the Li family, to seek justice for our Liu family and annihilate the Li family. Until then, I, Liu Runzi, will be at your disposal." His words implied a desire to join the Fu family. Fu Changli, the fourth sister, looked at Fu Changsheng eagerly, clearly wanting Liu Runzi to join the family as well. But Fu Changsheng didn't agree immediately. Li Giming's previous experience was a lesson for him. "Miss Liu, I can appreciate your sincerity, but after all, you weren't born and raised in the Fu family, like Li Giming. Fellow Taoist Fu, I can offer you a wisp of my soul as a token of my loyalty." Liu Runzi suddenly looked up. Without hesitation, she touched her brow. Instantly, a wisp of soul emanated from between her brows and drifted toward Fu Changsheng. She knew. To massacre the Li family on one's own was undoubtedly wishful thinking. However, with the support of the Shangguan family, the Fu family had risen to prominence in the past decade or so, and they were certain to one day surpass the Li family. "Well, since Miss Liu is so forthcoming, then as the head of the Fu family, I welcome you." Fu Changsheng was no pushover. He immediately placed Liu Runzi's soul between his eyebrows. During this process, he could instantly sense that he could control Liu Runzi's life and death with a single thought: "Runzi, you are injured. Recover your wounds in the clan mountain for a while. We can discuss the future later. What do you think?" "Yes, head of the family," Liu Runzi said, pulling a box from her bosom. The box opened to reveal a stack of yellowed books. "Head of the family, these are the handwritten notes left by our ancestors that I hurriedly took with me when I fled. Many of them contain information on talisman making. If you can use them, feel free to take them." Fu Changsheng was delighted. He was just worried about not having the method to refine a first-grade, mid-grade talisman, so these books arrived just in time. At the same time, a familiar voice echoed through his mind again: "Ling, you have successfully subdued a mid-stage key training retainer for your family, earning 20 contribution points." Chapter 19 Another Ghost Servant. After returning to the secret room, Fu Changsheng watched the Patriarch's contribution points climb on the dashboard, feeling overjoyed. A few more points would unlock his fourth lottery draw. He didn't rush to Daxi village just yet. Liu Runzi had vanished at the foot of Luofang Mountain. He feared Li Wente would persist and allow the 9th level key cultivator to continue his ambush at the foot of the mountain. Furthermore, intelligence indicated that Mr. Fu's daughter-in-law, Chu Chan, had been a ghost for several years, perhaps even reaching the late first-level cultivation realm. He needed to make some preparations. He flipped through the book Liu Runzi had given him and discovered a list of 5 mid-grade first-level talismans. The last, called the Soul-Locking Talisman, was specifically designed to target evil spirits. Even a late-level first-level ghost cultivator would be wary of it. That's it, Fu Changsheng decided to craft the Soul-Locking Talisman first. Time is not a factor in cultivation. A month passed in the blink of an eye. A first-grade, mid-quality talisman was even more difficult to craft than he had imagined. He had nearly exhausted all the talisman paper he'd bought at the market. With the help of his talisman pen, he finally managed to craft a soul-locking talisman with the help of 2 sheets. Looking at the scattered waste paper, Fu Changsheng shook his head. Even with talent, cultivation requires time to hone. In a month, that tribulation cultivator should have left long ago. It was time to head to Daxi village to subdue the autumn cicada ghost. Fu Changsheng pushed open the door and emerged. He immediately saw the golden red marrow rice in the spiritual medicine garden, only a month away from harvest. In the fields, he saw his elder brother, Molan, busy at work. Both had reached the 4th and 2nd levels of key training, respectively. Seeing Fu Changsheng emerge from retreat, they hurried forward and bowed. Master, have you refined a first-grade, mid-quality talisman? Yes, it lived up to your expectations. Fu Changsheng nodded slightly. Eldest brother Fu Changren happily congratulated. Congratulations to the Patriarch on his advancement to first-grade, mid-grade talisman maker. Unlike me, who knows nothing about talisman making, Molan, despite being a latecomer, has already successfully crafted a first-grade, low-grade speeding talisman, using Miss Runzi's first-grade, low-grade talisman pen. Fu Changsheng glanced at Molan in surprise. Before his retreat, Molan was still consolidating her cultivation. Unexpectedly, in less than a month, she had also successfully crafted a first-grade, mid-grade talisman. As expected of a future nascent soul cultivator, she learned quickly. Fu Changsheng smiled and said, "Great, great. Our Fu family has a new talisman maker. I'll go to the market later to buy some more talisman paper." But his eldest brother, Fu Changren, said, "Master, buying talisman paper costs too many spirit stones. After the red marrow rice is harvested, the spiritual fields will be empty for several months. I'm thinking we should use it to grow 7-star grass. It will mature in 4 months, and then we can make talisman paper from it. If the clan can't use it all, we can sell it and make a profit." "Master, do you think this idea is feasible?" "Brother, you really know how to make money," Fu Changsheng said with a smile. Elsewhere, his 4th sister ran over, holding a wolf cub. 2 fire cloud chickens were chasing after her. Fu Changsheng was amused. After giving a few instructions, he descended from the mountain and headed straight for Daxi village. Mr. Fu was the 2nd largest household in Daxi village, with a 3-story courtyard. The courtyard was covered in all sorts of ghostly talismans, and the guard at the gate was a burly butcher. Even though it was daytime, the lights were brightly lit. In the backyard, Mr. and Mrs. Fu's eyes were sunken, and they were tortured to the point of being skin and bones. Fu Yuanwei's grandmother, Qin, pushed open the window and glared fiercely at the dry well in the backyard. The dry well was covered with 3 layers of talismans inside and outside. "You slutty vixen, you were not decent when you were alive, and you had an affair with your father-in-law. Now you want to torture me after you die. Let me see how capable you are. Can you defeat the famous Taoist Qin? If I don't beat you to death tonight, I won't be named Qin." Fu Yuanwei was a little powerless. It's going to be dark soon, you'd better be quiet. Others say that she has a hard life and killed her parents and the whole family. But you believe in that 8 immortals and want to marry her to change her as his ghost wife. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many troubles. Hey, you old man, you dare to blame me. Who can't protect his lower body? You can blame me. It was that slutty vixen Chu Chan who seduced me. I was also drunk at the time." Fu Yuanwei explained his guilt and turned over without saying a word. Qin snorted coldly. After waiting for a while, Taoist Qin did not show up. It was already nightfall. The entire Fu mansion was brightly lit, as if it were daytime. At this moment, eerie sobs came from the dry well in the backyard. Suddenly, a strong wind blew through the entire backyard, blowing out all the lanterns. Then, bang, bang, bang. All the talismans posted on the dry well exploded. Qin, who was lying on the window, saw this scene and was so scared that she rolled back to bed and squeezed into the same quilt with Mr. Fu, shivering. "I am so wronged, my death is so unjust." The faint sobbing of ghosts rang out in the backyard. Then, a white shadow rose from the dry well. The servants saw this scene, screamed in fear and ran away. In an instant, the backyard became empty. A white shadow drifted over the backyard, repeating the same words over and over again. "I am so wronged. My death was so unjust." Fu Changsheng, watching from behind his invisibility cloak, felt relieved. It seemed the kitchen ghost hadn't yet transformed into a fierce spirit, merely instinctively crying out for justice. Fu Changsheng stepped out from the peach tree, standing before the ghost and saying loudly, "What grievances have you committed? Please tell me in detail. I, the head of the Fu family, will handle this impartially." The floating ghost was stunned. When Fu Changsheng repeated his words, the ghost simply wept softly, repeating the same words over and over again. "I am so wronged. My death was so unjust." Seeing this, Fu Changsheng muttered, "It seems Kijin has lost all memory of her past life, and only survives through a resentment." With a flick of his sleeve, the 100 Ghosts banner hovered before him. He cast a spell into the banner, and the yin energy within the 100 Ghosts banner swirled, forming a small vortex. A suction force emanated from the vortex, landing on the female ghost wandering aimlessly in the air, pulling her body towards him. Fu Changsheng's eyes lit up with joy. At this moment, Qin, who was in the main room, heard the commotion and saw the scene from the window. She thought that the Taoist priest Qin, who had been invited by someone, had arrived, and immediately rushed out with a toilet from the corner of the bed. The toilet was filled with a bucket of black dog blood, which she quickly poured towards the female ghost in the air. Fu Changsheng waved his sleeves, and a gust of wind overturned the bucket of black dog blood, pouring it all over Qin. However, because of Qin's appearance, the female ghost, who had been calm before, suddenly became irritable. Her eyes suddenly turned blood red, followed by her hair, and in an instant, she transformed into a female ghost dressed in red. The female ghost shook her body and immediately broke free from the section of the 100 Ghosts banner. Roar. Chapter 23 Years. The red-clad female ghost's hair fluttered in the wind, accompanied by a whirring sound as thousands of strands of hair stretched out, instantly binding Qin tightly. Not only that, the strands passed through the window, tying up Mr. Fu from the bed as well. Mr. Fu and his wife were instantly trapped in the air like two blood-soaked dumplings. Not good, the ghostly aura within the female ghost was steadily rising. Her cultivation level was on the verge of breaking through to the late first stage. Fu Changsheng quickly grasped the soul-locking talisman between his index and middle fingers, chanting an incantation. With a quick command, the talisman instantly ignited and descended upon the female ghost with lightning speed. "Great Immortal, please spare Miss Kijin's life." At this moment, a young maid suddenly rushed out from the side. Fu Changsheng didn't hesitate at all. He cast a spell on the 100 Ghosts banner, and the vortex of suction within the banner burst forth once more. Yin energy enveloped the female ghost, and she was violently pulled into the banner. Bang! Bang! The female ghost's restraints were gone. Mr. and Mrs. Fu fell to the ground in an instant. Fu Changsheng's eyes fell on the trembling little maidservant kneeling before him. "I am the patriarch of the Fu family. You can tell me any grievances you have." You are really the patriarch of the Fu family?" Fu Changsheng showed the patriarch's token. The little maid took one look and immediately knelt down, crying and saying, "Clan leader, Miss Chu Chen was indeed unjustly killed. She was deceived by the Fu family from other places during her lifetime. She thought she was going to marry someone else, but it was a ghost marriage. Moreover, the master climbed in through the window that night and wanted to force her to have sex with him. The girl would rather die than obey him. She knocked him unconscious and told the lady, but the lady turned around and said that the master seduced the girl because of a vixen. So she threw the girl into a dry well that night and starved her to death for 10 days. Why do you know so much?" Reporting to the Lord, "I was serving the girl in the room that night and witnessed it all with my own eyes. I was afraid of getting into trouble, so I didn't dare to report it to the clan. I asked the clan leader to punish her, but Miss Chu Chen was really unjustly killed. Please spare her life, clan leader." Fu Changsheng frowned. The Fu clan had produced such immoral individuals as the Fu couple, yet the head of Daxi village had turned a blind eye. If this was the norm throughout the clan, how could the Fu family possibly revive? With a flick of his sleeve, two green vines from the peach tree entwined themselves around the Qin couple, tightly binding them. Fu Changsheng said to the little maid, still kneeling on the ground, "From now on, you are free." He dragged the Qin couple out of the mansion with the vines. 3 days later, in the small town of Nanyang, the Fu clan gathered. Fu Changsheng had Mayor Fu recite aloud the Qin couple's actions and then the clan rules. Fu Changsheng immediately stepped forward, raising his great sword high. He beheaded the Qin couple one by one, as a warning to the public. Then, standing on the high execution platform, he looked down at the crowd and solemnly declared, "The Fu clan has always upheld strict rules. From now on, any criminals will be executed without mercy. Just like the Qin couple, killing the chicken to scare the monkeys." As the new clan leader, Fu Changsheng met with a group for the first time. He also announced another policy, encouraging the clan to have more children. If a child possessed spiritual talent, he would receive a reward of 100 taels of gold. From then on, a child-making frenzy swept through the Fu clan from top to bottom. After returning from Nanyang town, Fu Changsheng immediately retreated to cultivate the female ghost Chu Chan using the 100 ghost banner. After 10 days, Chu Chan's hair, originally red-haired and red-eyed, began to turn black, her skin white, and her eye color returned to normal. Fu Changsheng retracted his magic seal. Ghostly energy surged within the 100 ghost banner, and a beautiful young woman flashed out from within. She knelt and bowed to Fu Changsheng, saying, "Chu Chan greets the master. Thank you for avenging Chu Chan." Chu Chan, who had initially only cried out in injustice, appeared much more normal after the ritual. Seeing her spirit was unsettled, Fu Changsheng immediately allowed her to return to the 100 ghost banner to recuperate. At that moment, a bell rang outside. Fu Changsheng calculated the days and found it had been over a month since he and Mizhen last parted at the market. "I guess Mizhen sent someone to deliver the soul-enriching pill," he said, pushing the door open. His eldest brother, Fu Changren, immediately came forward to greet him. "Master, Miss Liu's personal nanny outside the formation requests an audience." The formation was activated. Sure enough, it was Mizhen Liu who had sent Nanny Liu to deliver the soul-enriching pill. Nanny Liu muttered, "The young lady sent us all 3 soul-enriching pills she had refined, leaving none unturned. If you have any conscience, you should prepare the betrothal gifts soon and bring our young lady home with great fanfare. Our young lady is constantly being urged by the clan elders to change her mind and marry the second son of the Shangguan family." With that, Nanny Liu turned and left. She had hoped her young lady would marry into the Shangguan family, but she was stubborn and had hanged herself on Fu Changsheng's tree. Fu Changsheng glanced at the pill bottle in his hand, moved. 3 years remained until his wedding with Mizhen. 3 years later, he promised to marry her with great fanfare. Fu Changsheng took a deep breath and returned to the secret room. As soon as the door closed, his gaze fell on the intelligence panel. He now had 24 family contribution points, which could be redeemed for 12 pieces of intelligence. If he had followed the established rules, relying on his 50 acres of spiritual farmland and the mine at Limang Mountain, he wouldn't have been able to afford even a simple dowry, let alone a 10-mile dowry. Only by relying on the intelligence system could he turn the tide. Without hesitation, he said, "Exchange the intelligence." A humming yellow light surged across the intelligence panel. Then, lines of text appeared. 1. 3 months later, a continuous torrential rainstorm washed away Qingniu Mountain in Nanyang town, revealing a nest of first-grade, low-grade silver-spotted venomous snakes, causing heavy casualties among the villagers. 2. After the harvest of red marrow rice, you gave your third brother, Fu Changli, tens of thousands of kilograms for brewing. 8 months later, first-grade, low-grade red rice wine was successfully brewed. 3. Liu Runzi is seriously injured and needs to remain in seclusion for another 3 months. However, because she feels embarrassed to stay at the Fu family's house without working all day, she will come out in 3 days. 4. Your fire cloud chicken is hesitating in the chicken coop, not sure whether to lay the eggs in its buttocks. After all, it is a male fire cloud chicken. 5. 10 years later, a demon cave appears in the Kili Mountain of Anyang County. Monsters are rampant in the demon cave. To suppress and eliminate the monsters, the Shangguan family issues a conscription order to the 5 major key training families. The small team led by Li Wente lures you and Li Runzi into the skeleton forest and successfully ambushes and kills you too. What? Fu Changsheng was shocked when he saw the 10th piece of information. He no longer had the heart to exchange the information. 10 years later, he and Miss Runzi would die at the hands of that beast Li Wente. Chapter 21 Small Breakthrough, Harvest Season. After Fu Changsheng calmed down, he quickly reviewed his 5-year plan. It was all about improving his own strength as much as possible. The journey to the demon cave would undoubtedly be fraught with danger. Of course, before that, he had to create the conditions to kill Li Wente first. Then there was the snake plague at Qingniu Mountain 3 months later. He also had to locate the snake cave and eliminate the silver-spotted venomous snakes before the rainstorm arrived. All in all, he felt like time wasn't enough. He resisted the urge to take the soul-nourishing pill immediately. A few days later, on the day of the red marrow rice harvest, he came out to join the others. Seeing Li Runzi emerge from her retreat, he called her over and said directly, "Miss Runzi, I heard from my 4th sister that you are a first-rank, lower grade weapon refiner, Liu Runzi nodded slightly. Fu Changsheng was delighted. Apart from him, no one in the Fu family possessed a single magical weapon. But once the call-up was issued, they would have to go to the demon cave. Without a magical weapon or two to protect themselves, they would surely perish. Miss Runzi, after you recover from your injuries, please help everyone in the clan forge a custom-made, first-grade magical weapon for both offense and defense. Don't worry about the materials, I'll find a way to gather them. Just make a list. Yes, Patriarch Runzi will definitely fulfill the mission. Liu Runzi was delighted. While at the Liu family, she had also wanted to refine more weapons to improve her skills, but the Liu family was a group of independent cultivators, struggling to make ends meet. Cultivation resources were scarce, and they had no extra spirit stones to invest in her. She had once hired herself out to help forge weapons, but others doubted her, a newly promoted first-grade, lower-grade weapon refiner, fearing she would waste the materials. 50 acres of red marrow rice. The Fu family members harvested it over 5 days before completing the harvest. After weighing it, a staggering 58,000 jin, approximately 58,000 kilograms, of grain. Everyone was overjoyed. This was over 10,000 kilograms more than in previous years. Their 30% tribute was calculated based on a yield of 1,000 kilograms per mu, meaning that after paying the Shangguan family the 30%, they still had 43,000 kilograms left, leaving 33,000 kilograms for daily needs. The eldest brother, Fu Changren, said cheerfully, "Master, should we store this extra grain or sell it at the market? But now is the harvest season for red marrow rice, and the market price is going to be significantly discounted. If we're not in a hurry to use the spirit stones, we can save it and sell it next summer, where we can make a little more. We won't sell this red marrow rice," Fu Changsheng said with a smile. He decided to keep all but 15,000 kilograms of red marrow rice he paid as tribute and give the rest to his third brother, Fu Changli, to brew spirit wine. 10 years wasn't a long time, but it was neither short nor long. He had to maximize his resources to earn more spirit stones. Besides purchasing materials from Miss Runzi's weapon refining, he also needed to purchase a batch of mana restoring and healing elixirs before the demon cave erupted. Funding for all this came from his third brother Fu Changli's spiritual wine production and the mining of the yangang stone vein on Limang Mountain. Fu Changsheng immediately had his fourth sister Fu Changli replace his third brother Fu Changli from the mine. Upon learning of this important task, Fu Changli's tongue twitched with excitement. After a moment, with his slightly chubby belly puffed out, he vowed, "Master, don't worry. I guarantee I'll successfully brew spiritual wine." During the months at the mining area, free from the burden of mundane duties, he refined the brewing recipe he'd been researching for 4 years. He was confident he could successfully brew it. Fu Changsheng was just about to give him some instructions when the familiar mechanical voice echoed through his mind again. "Ling, you've utilized your talents wisely and successfully helped Fu Changli enter the ranks of spiritual winemakers, earning you 20 family contribution points." In other words, the family contribution points, which had been nearly depleted, had returned to 22 points, enough to redeem 11 pieces of intelligence. Fu Changsheng felt a surge of confidence. After the red marrow rice was harvested, eldest brother Fu Changren busied himself with tilling the land and replanting the 7-star grass. Seeing everyone else busy except herself, Fu Molin went to Fu Changsheng. Fu Changsheng handed her a complete book on the art of talismans, saying, "Molin, besides your daily practice, spend your free time crafting talismans. The more talismans you make, the better." Whether it was the demon cave or the upcoming cleansing of the Qingnia Mountain Snake Cave, talismans were needed for self-defense. After assigning the clan's chores, Fu Changsheng declared a retreat and began taking a first-grade, mid-grade soul-nourishing pill. Time passes in the blink of an eye. 2 months passed. In the secret room, wisps of red spiritual energy lingered around Fu Changsheng. With every breath he took, the spiritual energy was absorbed into his body, completing a complete cycle. Fu Changsheng opened his eyes with delight. It's truly a first-grade, mid-grade elixir. The 3 soul-sustaining pills had allowed him to take a major leap forward into his key training stage 4, a surprising feat. This was also his first time using an elixir for cultivation. With the aid of an elixir, his cultivation speed had increased several-fold. No wonder every clan spares no expense in cultivating an alchemist. It was time to emerge from seclusion. In less than a month, torrential rains would arrive, and the snake plague would erupt. He had to visit Qingniu Mountain. He pushed the door open and emerged from his secret room. Upon exiting, he saw the 50-acre spiritual field of 7-star grass already lush and green, ready to be harvested and used to refine talisman paper. Seeing Fu Changsheng emerge, his eldest brother, Fu Changren, hurried to greet him. After his retreat, he had helped with the clan's chores. With a beaming expression, he said, "Patriarch, let me show you something." Fu Changren pulled a fiery red egg from his sleeve and handed it to Fu Changsheng. The egg was about the size of a goose egg, yet it held a faint spiritual energy. "Patriarch, where do you think this egg came from?" Fu Changsheng was stunned for a moment, then immediately remembered the information from the intelligence 2 months ago. He smiled and said, "It was laid by a fire cloud chicken." The eldest brother, Fu Changren, was stunned for a moment, then gave Fu Changsheng a thumbs up. "As expected of the Patriarch, your guess was spot on. This fire cloud chicken is truly rare. Even a rooster can lay eggs. Unfortunately, none of the 30 fire cloud eggs laid were breeding eggs, so they couldn't hatch. If not, their Fu family could have created a whole industry chain. However, the fire cloud eggs contain a considerable amount of spiritual energy. Although they're not first-tier spiritual objects, consuming one is equivalent to 10 days of cultivation at the spiritual spring well. Patriarch, how do you plan to distribute these fire cloud eggs?" As the family's resources increased, if they were not distributed evenly, cracks would eventually appear over time. Fu Changsheng immediately said, "Let's stick with the Fu family's previous contribution points." Yes, Patriarch, the eldest brother, Fu Changren, was an honest man. He felt that with only a few cultivators in the clan, there was no need for such a clear division. However, he still followed Fu Changsheng's instructions carefully. Fu Changsheng explained the merit exchange system to his eldest brother in detail. Finally, he told him that he would be going down the mountain. As he put on his invisibility cloak, he heard a familiar mechanical voice in his mind, "Ding, work pays off, more work, more rewards. You have established a merit exchange system for the family and earned 30 family contribution points." If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22: The Fourth Lottery. Good people get good rewards. Watching the value on the panel climb from 22 to 52, Fu Changsheng was delighted. This would allow him to enter his fourth lottery draw. Without hesitation, he said, "Redeem the draw." The previous 3 draws had been for Windblade Technique, Fire Cloud Chicken, and 100 Ghost Banner. Unsure of what this draw would be, Fu Changsheng stared at the panel with anticipation and excitement. A humming yellow light surged. The value on the panel dropped by 50. At the same time, he felt a box appear in his sleeve. He pulled it out and saw a white box with leaf patterns. He opened the box to reveal a palm-sized storage bag. "It's a storage bag." Fu Changsheng's lips curled slightly. Refining a storage bag requires voidstone, and only a master refiner who has mastered the art of space can create one. Therefore, even the cheapest storage bag costs hundreds of spirit stones. How could the impoverished Fu family afford this? "I wonder if this storage bag has a lot of space." Fu Changsheng excitedly cast a spell into the bag. A flash of light flashed, and Fu Changsheng took a peek, only to see that the space within was as large as 3 connected houses. If this were sold in the market, it would have cost at least thousands of spirit stones. This time I've really hit the jackpot. Compared to his previous 3 draws, he was most satisfied with the storage bag he won this time. The yangang stone mined from Limang Mountain had piled up like a mountain, but he hadn't sold it because it was inconvenient to transport, too conspicuous, and would easily attract the attention of the G cultivators. If he wasn't careful, he would lose everything. Looks like I need to sell the yangang stone before heading to Qingniu Mountain, and then take advantage of the low price of red marrow rice to buy some. The snake plague was about a month away. There was still time. Fu Changsheng immediately went to the valley of Limang Mountain. His 4th sister, Fu Changli, was galloping through the mountains on a green wolf demon. Seeing Fu Changsheng, a flicker of panic crossed her face. "Master," Fu Changsheng had instructed. No one was allowed to leave the mining area without his permission. Fu Changsheng glanced at the green wolf demon. A year had passed, and the little wolf cub had grown to the height of his 4th sister, Fu Changli. and the first person it saw upon opening its eyes was Fu Changli. The little wolf cub was clearly very affectionate towards her. Noticing Fu Changli's nervousness, it immediately rubbed its head against her thigh to offer comfort. Fu Changli lowered his head and said, "Master, I saw Xiao was getting suffocated in the mining area, and I couldn't bear it, so I brought her out." His voice gradually faded as he spoke. Fu Changsheng said solemnly, "Fourth sister, other matters are fine, but guarding the mines is a must, without the slightest carelessness. Not only are monsters lurking here, but the Li family is also eyeing us covetously. If you accidentally encounter a high-level monster or a Li family cultivator, it would be extremely dangerous. You carry a token for entering and exiting the mines. If anything goes wrong, the mines are in jeopardy. Things like today won't happen again. Do you understand?" "Yes, Patriarch." Seeing the Patriarch's seriousness, Fu Changli understood the seriousness of the matter and nodded in agreement. The mining of the yangang stone was already halfway complete. Fu Changsheng placed the yangang stone in his storage bag and departed Limang Mountain. As he descended, he glanced at the dashboard and saw that he still had 2 family contribution points. He immediately said, "Exchange for information." His previous trips to the market had yielded good results in exchanging information. This time, he was making a big deal, so he naturally hoped for a good omen. Ahem. A yellow light surged across the dashboard. Lines of text appeared. The independent cultivators Chen Dazhu and his wife have leased 30 acres of spiritual farmland from the Li family and have grown a bountiful harvest of red marrow rice. The Li family, threatening to renew the lease, attempted to force their purchase at a price 10% below market value. Chen Dazhu and his wife refused and planned to transport the rice to the market to sell. 2 hours later, they would have the rice looted by the Li family's robber cultivators on Qiuli Mountain. Fu Changsheng's eyes narrowed. The Li family had repeatedly colluded with the robber cultivators, practically becoming bandits. This year, due to an infestation of blood spirit insects, the Li family's spiritual farmland had yielded nothing. They were likely purchasing the red marrow rice from Chen Dazhu and his wife as tribute. The Li family was already a sworn enemy of the Fu family. Knowing this intelligence, he naturally couldn't let them get their way. A grove of catalpa trees lay in front of Qiuli Mountain, a route Chen Dazhu had to pass through. Fu Changsheng hid within it. Over an hour later, he saw a purple horned deer clattering towards him, dragging a bundle weighing tens of thousands of pounds. The purple horned deer is a first-rank spirit beast, boasting immense strength, speed, and powerful energy storage. Hailing from southern Xinjiang, it's a rare find. Chen Dazhu and his wife, by chance, secured a pair of cubs and raised them. Fu Changsheng removed his invisibility cloak and emerged from the forest. Upon seeing the newcomer, Chen Dazhu and his wife immediately became alert. Fu Changsheng pointed behind him, his lips moving as he whispered a few words. Chen Dazhu's expression suddenly changed, and he looked Fu Changsheng up and down. "Chief Fu, how can I know if what you say is true?" As soon as these words were spoken, Chen Dazhu's Taoist companion, Xiangu, slapped him in the face. "Regardless of whether it's true or not, Chief Fu means well. It's better to believe it than not. Let's go, we'll turn around immediately." "Thank you, Chief Fu, for reminding me. I'll repay your kindness tenfold in the future." Xiangu was decisive. Less than half an hour after the couple returned home, they heard word that the 20 acres of red marrow rice that old man Chu had painstakingly cultivated next door had been plundered by abandoned cultivators. Old man Chu's son had been killed, and he himself was severely injured, barely surviving. The incident took place at Qiuli Mountain in the Catalpa forest. Upon hearing this news, Chen Dazhu collapsed to the ground. "Those bastards of the Li family actually colluded with abandoned cultivators to rob us tenants, unafraid of divine retribution. If it weren't for clan leader Fu's warning, they would have suffered old man Chu's fate." Chen Dazhu was terrified. Fairy K quickly calmed down, went to the backyard, and brought out the newborn purple-horned deer calf. Chen Dazhu was puzzled. "Wife, where are you taking Xiao with you?" "To see my benefactor." Chen Dazhu reacted and immediately got up from the ground to stop the man. "No, I've already agreed to sell Xiao to fellow Taoist Zhou after she's a month old. Clan leader Fu just talked a lot. How can she possibly deserve such a generous gift?" Xiangu glared at Chen Dazhu. "You stingy bastard. If it weren't for clan leader Fu, you and I would be dead right now. Forget about Xiao. If clan leader Fu had asked, I'd have given him both purple horned deer, Chen Dazhu was most afraid of his wife. He flinched at the sight of Kei Xianggu. Although he was deeply reluctant, he didn't dare to stop her. When Kei Xianggu reached the door, she turned and said, "Remember to keep your mouth shut. Remember what clan leader Fu said to us?" Fu Changsheng went to the market to sell the yangang stone and purchase all the red marrow rice. When he returned to the gate of Luofang Mountain, he saw Kei Xianggu in the distance, waiting for someone with a purple horned deer calf in her arms. Chapter 23, Snake Cave, Zhao King's Power. Fu Changsheng unsheathed his invisibility cloak, and Kei Xianggu immediately came forward. Seeing no one around, she thrust the purple horned deer calf into Fu Changsheng's arms, saying, "Patriarch Fu, we will repay your kindness in the future." Without further ado, they hurried away. Fu Changsheng gazed at the purple horned deer in his arms. This was a pleasant surprise. When he had helped Chen Dazhu and his wife, his original intention was simply to prevent the Li family's evil scheme from succeeding. He had originally intended to return to the clan mountain, but instead turned and headed towards Changliu River. The most talented spirit beast tamer in the clan was undoubtedly the fourth sister, Fu Changli. Arriving at Limang Mountain, Fu Changli cradled the purple horned deer calf and immediately adored it, seemingly genuinely fond of these spirit beasts. Fu Changsheng smiled and offered a few words of advice. As they headed down the mountain, the mechanical voice echoed in his mind again, "Ling, you've brought back a purple horned fawn for the clan, earning 20 contribution points." Fu Changsheng was delighted. With this, his previously emptied clan contribution points were restored to 20, enough to redeem 10 pieces of intelligence. He immediately said, "Exchange for intelligence, ahum." A strong yellow light surged across the panel. Then, lines of text appeared. 1. Fu Molin has mastered the first-rank intermediate-grade talisman seal technique and is poised to break through to the first-rank upper-grade talisman master position at any time. 2. Liu Kaiofu, a woodcutter from Nanyang Town, went to Qingniu Mountain to cut firewood and did not return overnight. The next day, when his family went to look for him, they found him dead from poisoning, suspected to have been killed by a venomous snake bite. Stop redeeming. Fu Changsheng's eyes fell on the second piece of intelligence. If he was right, Liu Kaiofu's accident must have occurred near the snake cave. He immediately returned to the clan mountain, gave the red marrow rice he had purchased to his third brother, Fu Changli, and took a dozen first-grade, mid-grade talismans from Molin. Seeing the worry on his face, Molin hurriedly said, "Master, I've now reached the third level of key training, proficient in wind blade techniques and entanglement techniques. If there's anything I can help you with, please let me know." Born and raised in a brothel, Molin didn't want to be a flower in a greenhouse. She believed that continuously strengthening her own strength was the foundation of success, and this naturally required practical experience. Fu Changsheng thought of his trip to the demon cave 10 years later. He immediately said, "Okay, come with me to Nanyang Town." "Yes, master." Molin's whole demeanor suddenly brightened. After descending from Luofang Mountain, the two arrived in Nanyang Town. The mayor, having heard the news, came to greet them from afar. Fu Changsheng didn't exchange pleasantries, but directly asked, "Where did you find Liu Kaiofu's body yesterday?" He brought up the matter. Mayor Fu suddenly perked up and sighed. "Chief, regarding Liu Kaiofu's death from poison, I was just thinking of finding a time to report to you. Since last month, it's not just Liu Kaiofu, 3 or 4 other tribesmen who have gone up the mountain have died from the same poison. The wounds are clearly from venomous snake bites. We sent snake catchers up the mountain to search, but found no trace. So, 2 weeks ago, I issued an order forbidding any further ascents to Qingniu Mountain. But Liu Kaiofu sneaked up the mountain on his own. Alice, he died young, so, the snake den was real. He went to see Liu Kaiofu's body, which hadn't been buried yet. The bite marks on his neck bore a striking resemblance to those of a silver-spotted, venomous snake. After inquiring about the exact location of his death, he asked the mayor to take them up Qingniu Mountain. Qingniu Mountain was said to have been formed from the transformation of an ancient divine bull, and its outline bore a striking resemblance. They reached the Qiuyang tree halfway up the mountain. The mayor pointed to an old tree and said, "Chief, when we found Liu the woodcutter, he was leaning against this old tree." Fu Changsheng examined the tree and found nothing unusual, nor any signs of the silver-spotted venomous snake within. He then inquired about the location of the other members of the tribe who had died on Qingniu Mountain. Strangely, they had all died leaning against this old tree. "Is there something else about this old tree?" Fu Changsheng asked the mayor to descend the mountain first. Just then, a strong wind blew through the forest, rustling leaves all around. But the leaves of the old tree before him remained motionless, exactly as they had been half an hour before he had come up. So that's it, the old tree was just a deception. Fu Changsheng took a few steps back, then slammed into the tree. The pain he'd imagined hitting a wall didn't come, but instead a sense of weightlessness. Looking down, he saw he was falling toward a valley. He quickly waved his sleeve, snatched a green vine, and swung down. Upon landing, he discovered that Molan had followed him in. Molan, observing the situation in the valley, was stunned. "Master, you truly have a keen eye. You were able to identify the entrance to this valley." The valley was filled with overwhelming spiritual energy. It was only slightly inferior to their clan's ancestral home, Luofang Mountain. Yet, the valley itself was gray and barren. A place teeming with spiritual energy would typically be filled with abundant vegetation, not to mention abundant spiritual herbs. Fu Changsheng glanced down at his feet and saw wisps of gray gas emanating from the subterranean soil. "Is this miasma?" Fu Changsheng was startled. They didn't have an antidote, but they couldn't find an exit for a while. "Oh no," Fu Changsheng glanced around. As he and Molan separated to search for an exit, the small green snake hidden in his sleeve suddenly hissed. A flash of green light appeared. It leaped out of his sleeve and stood upright. It was then that Fu Changsheng noticed that the little green snake's tail seemed to have grown considerably longer, evidently from having devoured Li Changte and the green wolf demon's corpse. Hiss! The little green snake raised its head high, its tongue flickering. The miasma from the ground seemed to have been summoned, rapidly converging towards it, engulfing its body from all directions. Fu Changsheng retreated repeatedly. In an instant, a strange phenomenon unfolded throughout the valley. The little green snake transformed into a small gray vortex, sweeping up the miasma rising from the soil. This vortex lasted for about an hour. When the gray miasma ceased to rise from the soil, the little green snake, still unsatisfied, retracted its tongue with a flash of green light, and retracted into Fu Changsheng's sleeve. Molan, watching from the side, was filled with envy. "Master, your spirit pet is truly remarkable, of course. Zhaoqing possesses the blood of a dragon." Fu Changsheng felt a sense of pride, like an old father. Without the miasma, the land had returned to its black color. The entire valley, previously obscured by the miasma, came into view. But then he saw a small cave on the southwest side of the valley. Listening carefully, he could hear the sound of rushing water. Fu Changsheng thought for a moment and understood. If he was right, the silver-spotted viper was hiding in this cave. With a heavy rain, the water overflowed from the cave, flowing into the town along the underground river, causing the snake disaster. Chapter 24 Bloodline Suppression, Protecting Mountains and Rivers. Fu Changsheng slapped a talisman onto his body. A flash of golden light appeared, and a shield of light descended, enveloping him. He turned to Molan and said, "I'll go in and explore first." With a flick of his sleeve, a gust of wind crackled, shattering the stone blocks at the cave entrance. A dark cavern came into view. Fu Changsheng pulled a small green snake from his sleeve and said, "Zhaoqing, explore the way ahead." The snake hissed. The snake was reluctant. A flash of green light appeared. It landed on the ground and continued to crawl forward. The cave grew darker as it went deeper, but after walking about 100 meters, the view suddenly widened, revealing a deep pool. The water was as black as ink. Fu Changsheng was puzzled when he saw streaks of green light suddenly illuminate the previously pitch-black pool. Looking closely, he saw that these green lights were the eyes of silver-spotted venomous snakes, densely packed, at least 1,000 of them. Fu Changsheng's throat rolled as he retreated quickly. Then, whoosh, whoosh, a series of air-piercing sounds echoed. The silver-spotted venomous snakes in the deep pool immediately launched their attack. As their tongues flickered, venom shot out, sweeping towards Fu Changsheng from all directions. Fu Changsheng's pupils shrank. Although these silver-spotted venomous snakes were only at the early stage of the first stage, there were too many of them. And, most importantly, their saliva was extremely toxic. Anyone who touched them, without an antidote, would be dead within half an incense stick. Although he had antidotes ready, they were too numerous to handle. Bang, bang, bang. Dots of venom landed on the diamond shield. The shield sizzled as it corroded, and in an instant, it crackled and crackled. Fortunately, Fu Changsheng activated several of them in quick succession. When he reached the cave entrance, Silver-spotted venomous snakes in the deep pool leaped up, countless in number, chasing him. Outnumbered, Fu Changsheng turned and ran. Halfway through, he noticed a sudden silence behind him. Just as he was wondering, the small green snake that had been leading the way hadn't kept up. Instead, it excitedly leaped up, landing above the deep pool and hissing at the bottom. A startling scene unfolded. At the bottom, the silver-spotted venomous snakes, like mice at the side of a cat, trembled in submission before the small green snakes, their earlier ferocity gone. The small green snakes, with an anthropomorphic expression, turned and hissed at Fu Changsheng, urging him not to leave in such a hurry. Is this the legendary bloodline suppression? Fu Changsheng was filled with astonishment. After all, the small green snakes possessed the blood of a dragon, and the silver-spotted venomous snakes were countless levels below them. Hiss, 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 the little green snake extended its tongue again. The water in the deep pool, tempered day and night by the venom of the silver-spotted snakes, had become extremely poisonous. Now, wisps of poisonous gas separated, forming a vortex in the air. With a bang, it plunged into the little green snake's body, and its severed tail repaired at a visible speed. 2 hours later, the little green snake's aura remarkably and naturally broke through to the middle stage of the first level. At this moment, the once inky black water of the deep pool became crystal clear. And all the while, the group of first-level silver-spotted snakes lay motionless on the ground. Fu Changsheng approached the pool's edge and said to the little green snake, "Zhaoqing, stay here and help protect me." "Keep your kin away from the pool," the little green snake hissed twice, frightening the silver-spotted snakes into trembling fear. Fu Changsheng took a deep breath and then, with a splash, plunged into the pool. From there, he continued downstream along a hidden river. After an unknown amount of time, with a splash, Fu Changsheng finally emerged from the water. He took a closer look at his surroundings and discovered he had arrived at the foot of Luofang Mountain, the protective river that looped around the base of the mountain. The deep pool actually leads directly to the clan's territory. A look of surprise flashed in Fu Changsheng's eyes. Then, his mind raced. He had a bold idea, to have Little Green Snake train the silver-spotted venomous snakes to become the guardian beasts of the Fu clan's territory. As soon as this idea came to mind, Fu Changsheng grew increasingly excited. The silver-spotted venomous snakes were hiding in the protective river. The accumulated poisonous gas would form a natural miasma, serving as the primary protective barrier for their mountain. Their tribesmen could control the formations to isolate themselves from the toxic atmosphere during their daily ingress and egress. It was perfect. If these silver-spotted venomous snakes had been present during the southern barbarians' invasion, my grandfather and his men would have been able to defend Luofang Mountain. He acted immediately. Fu Changsheng returned to the deep pool and summoned Molan. The two of them spent 10 days blocking the branch of the underground river that led to Nanyang town. They then painstakingly persuaded the little green snake to lead its minions back to the Luofang Mountain moat. Everything was completed, a task that took over a month. However, watching the wisps of poisonous gas rising from the protective river at the foot of the mountain, the once crystal clear water gradually turning dark green, Fu Changsheng felt a sudden sense of security. Meanwhile, the familiar mechanical voice echoed through his mind again. "Ling, you've built a strong defense for the clan, earning 64 clan contribution points." Then, the clan contribution points on the dashboard suddenly jumped from 6 to 70. This meant he could draw once and redeem 10 pieces of intelligence. Fu Changsheng immediately said, "Redeem the lottery." Ahum. A burst of yellow light surged across the panel, and the next moment, the clan contribution value dropped to 20 points. Then, he felt a box appear in his sleeve. The box was decorated with animal patterns on a white background. Although this wasn't his first lottery, he felt a little nervous. "I wonder what I'll get this time." He took a deep breath. The box opened, revealing a palm-sized storage bag. Huh? Another storage bag? Fu Changsheng felt a little disappointed. After all, the storage bag he currently held was surprisingly full, more than enough. He lifted the storage bag from the box and took a closer look. His eyes lit up. It's a spirit beast bag. A spirit beast bag is even rarer than a storage bag because it can hold living creatures. For him, this spirit beast bag couldn't have come at a better time. He was just about to find a home for Zhaoqing. After refining the spirit beast bag, he immediately placed Zhaoqing inside. At first, Zhaoqing wasn't used to it, but after a few tries, she got used to it. He looked at the remaining 20 family contribution points on the panel. Since there was still some time before the next lottery, he thought he might as well use them to exchange for information. He immediately said, "Exchange for information." A large amount of yellow light surged across the panel. Then, lines of text appeared. Chapter 25, Black Market Murder, Taking Advantage of the Situation. 3 days later, you will visit the underground black market to purchase a method for crafting high-level talismans. On your return journey, you will be attacked by a late-stage key training cultivator in the Black Forest. Fu Changsheng stared at the text on the panel, stunned. He did intend to visit the black market. Both he and Molin had reached a mid-level first-grade talisman-making skill, allowing them to attempt to craft a top-grade first-grade talisman. However, the price of such a method in the market was relatively high. The black market was called the black market because the items traded underground often had questionable origins, leading to lower prices. Of course, authenticity required personal authentication. Looks like my trip to the black market in 3 days has to be cancelled. No. Fu Changsheng's mind raced. He immediately changed his mind. Lately, he'd clearly sensed someone spying on him as he entered and exited the mountain gate. Taking advantage of this opportunity to strike a blow at someone else's expense might be a good idea, he thought. Fu Changsheng immediately emerged from retreat and took the mid-grade, first-grade talisman crafted by Molin, along with some he had crafted in his spare time, to the Nanyang market and sold them to the Wanbao pavilion. He earned a total of 120 spirit stones. It would have been impossible to purchase the recipe for a top-grade, first-grade talisman with this amount of spirit stones in the market. He would have needed at least 40 or 50 more spirit stones. After leaving the Nanyang market, he deliberately didn't wear his invisibility cloak. He walked through the dark forest. Upon reaching the entrance to the black market, he could clearly sense someone following him. Fu Changsheng sneered, paid a spirit stone, took a mask from the guard, and put it on, then entered the black market. In the poplar forest 100 meters from the black market, a man in black saw Fu Changsheng enter and immediately produced a communication jade talisman from his waist. He quickly said, "Master Wente, Fu Changsheng has entered the black market after leaving the Nanyang market." After a moment, the communication jade talisman flashed. Li Wente's voice rang out, "Quick, set up an ambush on the path through the black forest. I'll be there in a heartbeat." Everyone in the black market wore masks, designed to shield them from spiritual observation, so no one knew who was hiding behind them. The black market was essentially a main street lined with stalls. Unlike the bustling Nanyang market, the stall owners here quietly waited for customers, without shouting. Fu Changsheng had a clear goal. He had come today to find the recipe for crafting a first-grade, top-grade talisman. After searching around, he spotted a book titled Advanced Talisman Crafting Method at a stall to the right and back. This stall was more special than the others because it only had one book and no other items for sale. The stall owner was a gaunt old man who coughed periodically, his sputum tinged with blood. Fu Changsheng glanced through the catalog and found 2 first-grade, top-grade talismans, the Earth Escape Talisman and the Body Immobilization Talisman. The former was suitable for escaping, the latter for combat. Satisfied, Fu Changsheng immediately asked, "Fellow Taoist, how much do you want for this ancient tome?" "Ahem, I risked my life to retrieve it from the blood-forbidden zone. The price is no less than 200 spirit stones, 130. Fu Changsheng initially wanted to offer 100, but couldn't bring himself to do so. After all, outside, the recipe for the Earth Escape Talisman alone would cost more than that. The old man didn't even raise an eyelid. He waved at Fu Changsheng, "Go away. If you're not serious about buying, don't block my stall." Seeing no room for bargaining, Fu Changsheng walked away. After all, his goal today wasn't to actually purchase the recipe for a high-grade talisman. After casually strolling around the black market, he emerged. After handing in his mask, he glanced at the nearby bushes. The man he had followed from Lufang Mountain to the black market had vanished. Fu Changsheng sneered inwardly. If he was right, the other party should be lying in ambush on the path leading to the Black Forest. The Black Forest, as the name suggests, is devoid of light. Only the faint green glow of the leaves of Nadasai trees within the forest obscures vision, making it impossible to discern the person from a distance. He emerged from the black market and walked about 10 steps forward. Suddenly, a familiar yet unfamiliar odor wafted from behind him. Fu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly. He immediately slapped several speed talismans on himself, increasing his speed. In a few flashes, he entered the black forest. The moment he entered, he immediately donned his invisibility cloak and sprinkled a layer of white powder on himself to block scent tracking. Whether it was the stalkers ambushing them at Lufang Mountain or the robber cultivators chasing them from the black market, they must have left something on him to track them. Hiding in the jungle. After a while, soft footsteps could be heard from behind. Fu Changsheng immediately pulled a robe he always wore from his storage bag and tossed it to Zhaoking. Zhaoking hissed at the spirit beast bag, and silver-spotted venomous snakes crawled out. One of them, clutching the robe, swiftly crawled forward at Zhaoking's urging. As the silver-spotted snakes moved, the faint footsteps that had paused behind him resumed. A moment later, the sounds of fierce fighting could be heard from the front. When the sounds gradually died down, Fu Changsheng leaped from the dace tree. Looking down, he saw two bodies lying on the ground. Through the speckled green light of the dace tree, two people lay on the ground. One of them was Li Wente. The GXIU standing there was the same old man who'd been selling ancient books on the black market, but now he stood straight, looking anything but old. However, GXIU was clearly injured. He groped Li Wente and the other man for a moment, then cursed, "You two poor bastards." Suddenly, GXIU realized something and turned around. At that moment, a whooshing sound pierced the air. From the darkness, balls of foul-smelling venom shot out, hurling themselves at him in a blanket of lightning. A closer look revealed countless silver-spotted venomous snakes lurking around him. GXIU quickly slapped a talisman on himself. A flash of golden light enveloped him, and he immediately formed a hand seal, attempting to escape underground. However, from the ground where he stood, dozens of silver-spotted venomous snakes suddenly sprang out, hurling themselves at his face with lightning speed. Even though he reacted quickly and blocked the attack with his fan, he was still bitten. He paused in his finger-spelling movements, but quickly stuffed an antidote into his mouth. His gaze quickly landed on Fu Changsheng in the tree. "I've been waiting for you for a long time." As he finished speaking, a flash of yellow light appeared on his body. He immediately disappeared underground, and the next moment he reappeared under the lingcarp tree where Fu Changsheng was hiding. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.